Remaining faithful to your desires means living in the end, as Neville Goddard would say, or Dr. Joseph Murphy, or any manifestation coach, teacher, mystic will tell you that living in the end is where you begin. And remain faithful to your desires. And once you decide what it is that you want and you remain faithful to it, that's when they start to manifest. That's when the seed takes root and you start to express that which you desire. It's not magic, although it may seem like magic, right? But it's actually natural. It's natural. It's normal. Things we experience is because of the way we think about our lives. And once we change the way we think, things begin to change, to take form, to take shape. No more guessing. We are meant to live the abundant life. You're meant to live the abundant life. You don't need anyone to teach you. You just need to get quiet. Study yourself. Study for yourself. Read for yourself. Hey, La Toxic. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I know it's a lot of information out there. At times it can seem overwhelming. It's hard to decipher or sniff out, who you should be following, who you should be trusting. Learn to trust you. Learn to go with your intuitive knowing. Go within, believe in yourself, trust in yourself. Apply this truth for yourself. And sometimes you may have to start off small, right? I like that Neville Goddard really never taught starting small. He would just say, decide what you want and then remain faithful to it. Go to sleep being the person you desire to be. And then allow it to materialize. To stop looking back. To start talking about yesterday or last year or 10 years ago or your childhood memories. Decide who you want to be now. Live in that state. Sleep in that state. Wake up in that state. Talk as though you already are, and then you will be. And I know that seems too simple. And we want to talk about, well, I wish I would have known then, and why did my parents teach me this, and why did they treat me that way, or why does this person do that? You can let go of all of that and just decide what is it that you want to experience and then live from that state. Hey, fresh air. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Because yes, we can go around digging up the past, and I tell you, your past confronts you when it's time to transform it, right? When it's time to perceive it differently, it rises, it comes up in you. And then that's when you can deal with it. And then that's when you can decide to give it a different perspective. Forgive yourself, forgive all those who caused hurt and harm to you. And it's not for their benefit, it's for your own. So you don't no longer have to live captive to past experiences. It's to free you. It's not to free them or to relieve them of any, justice or punishment. It's so that you can be free in your mind, so you can be the best version of you, so you can be the being you're supposed to be, so you can live freely. That's the whole purpose of forgiveness. It isn't about the other person. Stop making it about the other person, because it's not about them. It's about you. It's about where you want to be now. Hey, Tasha Mack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So never see forgiveness as something that you're doing for someone else. See it as you're doing it for yourself. You're freeing yourself. You're setting your soul free. You're setting your mind free. That's the whole purpose of forgiveness. Hello, hey, chocolate covered soul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so it's being faithful to your desires. What are you desiring? And I know sometimes we don't even know what we want. sometimes we're like, it's so much going on, life is just happening. And you have to understand that life isn't just happening, it's a reason for it's happening. And you're the reason. It's your beliefs, it's your assumptions, it's what you accept about life. That's what you'll experience. And so, whatever it is, right? And it's really time to stop like comparing yourself and trying to compete with what you see on social media, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Understand, it's all smoke and mirrors. Everything you see is not what you think it is. So it's about, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want to experience in this life? Now, you can use social media for its purpose, which is to inspire you, to show you what's possible. But don't look for shortcuts. Too many times people are looking for shortcuts. They're looking for get rich quick or get over quick or do something quick. Everything is about instant, fast, now, how to get this now, how to get it fast, how to get it yesterday. So everything is about instant gratification. So what do you do when you've been experiencing negative circumstances, when you've been grateful and positive? Well, who's deciding that the experiences are negative? Who's thinking that the experiences are negative? It's your perspective, right? You're deciding it. You can give the circumstances a different meaning. That's the choice you have. That's your free will. You could just see it as an experience. It's old news, it's old belief systems playing themselves out. You don't have to accept it. You can change to think about it differently. Hey, Alexa, you say you feel tired. Why do you feel tired? Hey, Bailani. It's a great question, Bailani, because I don't sleep with headphones, so I couldn't speak to that. That's not something I do. All right. Yes, I don't know if that's a cause, because I've never. That's not something I've done, so I don't. Okay. I guess as long as you're having a different experience now, right? And we give meaning to everything. So as long as you get satisfaction to the meaning that you give it, that's all that matters, because you give meaning to life. And so, we decide whether it's something good or bad, if we're frustrated, if we're irritated, right? And I know we have a lot of different terminologies. We have a lot of different techniques. We have a lot of different systems. I know, there are different ways to ascribe what we experience. There's a lot of different ways to describe what we're experiencing. I like to keep things simple. All right. And so, you have to choose what you're going to think and choose what you're going to feel. Understand that you're the operant power, right? Whenever we give cause to something external to ourselves, we're taking away we're giving away our power. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hey, whatchamacallit? How are you? And so it's all about choosing, understanding that our words, they have the power. They are spirit and they are life. Always remember that. So whenever you decide to explain a circumstance, to define an experience, never finish a negative statement. And decide to think of the lovely, right? Noble, honest, truth, just, virtue, good report, things worthy of praise, right? Hey, Key, hey. Oh, no, not ask questions. If you have success stories, if you have success stories you want to share with us how this applying the law of mind has transformed your reality, and you have some great news to share with us, that's woman allowing to come up in the box. We're all about maintaining focus and sharing with one another to help inspire one another, to motivate one another to remain faithful, to remain diligent, to remain dedicated, disciplined. See, this walk was about disciplining the mind, self-mastery, not seeking help from others, but learning how to tap into the power within. Too many times we're trying to get spoon-fed this knowledge. We want people to hold our hands. We want to be coddled. And it's not about seeking guidance from others. It's about tapping into the power within. You already have the answer. You already have everything you could possibly need to manifest the reality you want to experience. You already have the power. It's already within you. It was never outside of you. You are an unlimited being. You are all powerful. You are consciousness. You are the awareness. And it's about tapping into that knowing. Ooh, all right. Yes, yes, we love. Wow. This is sex. Yes, that is awesome. So glad to hear. No reason to be afraid. We're here to celebrate one another. Well, there's no good or bad, only thinking makes it so, right? And you could just choose to see experiences as, I don't even necessarily like to call them lessons, but I would rather you call them lessons than call them bad experiences. Now you just know something you didn't know before. And that's okay. You've been given clarity through the experience. You know now that you no longer want to experience something like that again. And so how do you go about transforming that experience, giving it a different meaning, perceiving it differently, and deciding to think differently about it? Talking to yourself with grace, with love, with understanding, with compassion. It really is about how you talk to yourself. Because once you start to talk to yourself differently and really be sincere and be patient and consistent with it, then the feelings will be conjured up to match those thoughts, to match those beliefs. Because feelings are a byproduct. Your emotions are a byproduct of your thoughts. Your thoughts create everything in your reality because your words, they are spirit and they are life. Your words are the feeling. Your words give meaning. Your words give power to your experiences because you get to define what they are based on your individualized perspective. You're the power. You get to say, you get to give meaning to your life. That's just how powerful you are. You get to decide, oh, that don't really mean anything. That means absolutely nothing. I don't care what happened. I'm still getting my desire. I don't care how many things I go through. I don't care how dark and gloomy it appears to be. Everything is working out for me. I don't care. You can talk like that. You can say that. You can determine that. You can be bold. You can be confident. Choose it. That is an option. You don't have to wallow in self-pity. You don't have to play victim. You can decide to be bold. You can decide to be the victor. You can decide right now. It's just all about a decision. And it's about what decision are you going to choose? What option are you going to choose? So you try to get on. You can you see the two let me see. Okay, I see it. I'm going to let you up, whatchamacallit. I'm bringing you up now. I didn't see the request. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Good. How do I turn my camera on? It's my first time doing this.
Thank you.
Wait, there it is.
Okay.
Ah, excuse my hair.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. So it's been a minute since I've been on here,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been watching you. I would say about a year now, and
Not
which
quite a year. I started like in August. Oh, unless you were watching me on YouTube.
no
So
August.
almost a year. Almost a year.
So I actually started. I tried my best to implement everything that you said. uh, Around August, September, October, but it didn't start to set in until January.
Ooh, okay.
So I lost the weight.
Yes. Congratulations.
Posted them. I'm gonna show you, and
Okay.
I've been happier. Like I've been
Nice.
really, really happy. I've been stopping these bad thoughts from taking over. So I grind my teeth when I stress. I don't know if anybody else do that, but lately I started clenching my teeth.
Okay.
So when I clench my teeth, I know that I'm stressing about something, and right now it's money.
Okay.
It's trying my car broke down, my transmission went out, which I'm getting another car tomorrow, but it's like
Ooh, yes.
I can't get out. So I believe in God. I pray, but I mean I do what you say. I speak in the right things. I try my best to get rid of the negative thoughts. You know, I gotta show you pictures. I got ADHD, so I forget.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. And congratulations on your new car. Yes. Yes.
It on my TikTok. Let me see. Where are my pictures? So here's a before picture. This was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my screen is broke. Ah, I don't know if you can see me.
Okay, let me see if I can I'm gonna change the screen here. One moment. So we can get a better picture of you.
Let me see. How do I do? Okay.
Let me see. Okay, there we go. Now we can see you better now. Oh, okay,
That
okay.
belly, see all that fat on my skin and
You
that
still look
skin.
good though.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, let me find another one. This was at my nephew's graduation on in June of last year. And that's me again.
Okay, okay.
I was so unhappy that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I that thought, that picture stayed in my mind. So now here's my after. Where's she at? This was in this was Easter.
Okay. Okay. Oh, look at all right, Titan. Right. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You look
Oh,
amazing.
my face.
Yes.
My face look.
Yes. You
My
definitely can
face.
see. Beautiful. Isn't she lovely?
So
Isn't
now
she wonderful?
I'm so
Hey.
happy. Oh my gosh. I'm just really, really happy. And now my mindset, like, I mean, like I said, I'm still working on it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting out more. You know, I'm not really, I don't do any of the partying and everything, but just to say, okay, let me go to Target, let me walk around, let me see what I can get,
Mm-hmm.
just to get out and talk to other people. So that's another thing on my bucket list, to start talking to more people and getting out more.
Yes. Yes.
But the confidence came in. So
Oh, yes, I'm so happy for you. Let's get
thank
cheers.
you.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. So, do you have like a technique that you use? I know people be wanting to know the how. So even though the how is not, we know the how is the cause. The cause is mental, right? So, what was your mental transformation like? Was it a particular technique that you were drawn to that you use, every day, randomly? Like, what was the process?
I literally told my mind to shut up. I was like, okay, just shut up, because this is not what's going on. Then I realized that my mind is actually kind of crazy, because why are you telling me this? Why are you making me feel like this about my own self? And look, my mind is telling me that people are saying these things, and I'm like, they haven't said that. So why are we thinking this way? Like, no, we can't do that. Like the other day, okay, so there's a guy that I'm talking to.
Okay.
Let me do it like that, because I'm not trying to get excited yet.
Mhm.
So I'm like, there's this guy that I'm just talking to, and he texts me. He works a lot,
Okay.
you know. So I'm like, okay, he travels. I'm like, this is a cool guy, He's answering all my questions, anything that I ask him, he answers. I have
Nice.
no reason to think that he's lying. So yesterday, my mind said, this guy is lying to you, and he don't work where he say he work. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I look at pictures. I looked at his pictures. Analyze everything that he said he do is in the background.
Mm.
I'm like, why are we saying this? Why are you doing this? You're self-sabotaging.
Mhm.
So I'm like, let me shut up. And I also, I do a lot of this too. So this helped me.
Okay. Okay.
That
Okay.
right there. That
Nice.
helps me shut up. I overthink.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
overthink myself into a headache.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that I always say we got to talk to ourselves. 'Cause I got to talk to myself too. Yes, everybody deals with the negative self-talk, the doubt, the fear, right? And to combat that is to be the awareness, right? When you recognize it, what you do. You don't try to analyze it. You just change it. You don't beat yourself up, right? You just like you said, now the root cause is sabotaging. Maybe you don't feel like you're worthy of it, right? You've lost the weight, you're feeling good or whatever, and then the old man tries to resurrect and wants to say, no, try to give you reasons why you shouldn't feel good, why you shouldn't be experiencing this. No,
Yeah.
now it's time to be that confident woman that you are, because that's who you are at your core, right? You are the awareness. You are the one creating the experience. So enjoy the experience because you created it.
Yeah.
Hey, though, 120. Hey. How are you?
But
Motion goddess.
I just want to say, I just want to tell y'all, I'm shy, y'all, so I'm finna get off.
Now you're not shy. Hey, Gracie.
How do I get off?
We definitely appreciate your manifestation story. That is beautiful.
I'll
So,
be back
guys,
soon. I'll be back soon, because I'm gonna have some more.
yes, I know that's
That's
right.
and that's another thing. I've been speaking it in. Like I said, I've been speaking it in. I've been telling myself, this is what's gonna happen. I don't know when, but this is gonna happen.
That's beautiful. because the when is not up to us, the how is not up to us.
Yeah.
It's just for us to decide what it is.
How do
That's
you?
it.
Are you asking me? Excuse me. Is she asking me?
Say, how do you? Who is that for, Anna? Anyone who wants to answer? You can answer it if you want to.
What is she saying?
Say, how do you deal with constant thoughts of shame?
Again, tell myself to shut up. I ain't even joking. I'll walk around and I'll be talking to myself like, will you shut up? Well, that's not what we're doing here. Switch your mind. You can literally manipulate your own mind. If your mind can make you think that this person is this and this person is saying that you're not worthy, you can also make your mind think that you are. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense if I'm saying it right, but
You are.
yeah.
Yeah, talking to yourself. I say I talk to myself because there is no one to talk to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to yourself is key. You have to talk to yourself.
And then also, I keep myself away. I've started really keeping myself away from people who make me feel some type of way about myself. Even if they don't say it, you can get a vibe. And I stay away from that because I feel like that, what I call a spirit, that jumps on you.
Okay.
And it can get right in your mind. So I stay away from that. Search positive feeling.
Yes, yes. Sometimes you got to get by yourself and to build up your discernment and eventually you'll come to realize that you bring the light, and where light is, light and darkness cannot share the same space, right? So eventually you get to the point where it doesn't matter where you are, because you're the light. The darkness has to what? Be repelled, and everyone is just going to bounce off of your positive energy, your positive vibes, right? You're going to bring up the vibration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Well.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get off.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining.
How do I get off? I'm gonna be in the comments.
Okay, I'll drop you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, thank you, whatchamacallit. Oh, that was awesome. Yes. We love the any success stories you have to share with applying this law, changing the way you think. Come up in the box, share with us how positive thinking, and it's more than just positive thinking, it's about being the person you desire to be, right? And the positive thoughts just naturally come when you decide to choose who you want to be, right? When you decide to choose, and then you'll do whatever is required to maintain that state. Like whatchamacallit said, talking to yourself, just telling yourself to shut up. Shut up. Why are you talking like that? We're not going there. That's not who we are anymore. We're this person, quieting the mind, telling the mind to be still, and deciding what thoughts you want to have. Because it's more than just positive thinking, right? It's about deciding who you are. Who do you say that I am? And then being that person. And so that person communicates in a certain way. That person expects good things to always happen, expects no matter what is going on, that everything is working out for them, right? You expect to have wonderful ideas, whatever that idea is. You decide to get up in the morning and go for a walk, take the walk. If you decide to go grocery, whatever it is that you decide to do aside from your job, right? If you have a job, a career that you get up and go to every day, maybe you may decide to take a different route to work, right? Or maybe after work, you have been desiring to go to the gym and work out and exercise. If you get that drops in your spirit, go do it. Don't think about it and then talk yourself out of things that come into your experience, because it's the reason why you get the thought. It's a reason why the idea came to you. This is how you begin to trust yourself and to believe in yourself and understand that intuitive knowing within you, that inner guidance system within you. You have to be willing to let it take the lead and then follow suit with that leading. That's where the trusting in yourself comes from. When you decide to, oh, yeah, that's a good, let me go ahead and do that. Yeah, okay, yeah, let me go to, okay, yeah, I don't even know why I'm thinking that, but that thought is there for a reason. Okay, let me follow this thought. Let me follow where this is going and do it. Yes. So I don't know how to join the live, but I recently manifested a way. Oh, Gracie. Okay, do you see the two little outlines of people? It's a blue and a pink. You hit that and request the invite. Ooh. Oh, that is beautiful. Wow. That is amazing, Gracie. Wow. Let's see. That is beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy for you. That is amazing. But yeah, if you see those two little people down there, I'm not people, but they're outlines of people, you press that and then you can request the invite. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's definitely an inspiration for us all to know that we can manifest better health, right? That we can manifest better health. So amazing. Love that. Hey, neighbor. So happy for you. Say all things are possible to us, right? It's just deciding what it is you want to experience and then allowing that manifestation to come forth, right? Like I know many of you have heard, my manifestations, and now I'm leaning more still into my content. My social media platform is still growing, and I come to realize you just gotta do what feels good to you and don't worry about outcomes, right? Just do what, like the AI, oh my goodness. I'm just like, because I already paid for CapCut's editor, the video editing. And so they've added the AI to their tools. And oh my goodness, I just love it. And I create like 3 or 4 or 5 videos a day. And I'm just like, man, I'm taking content from my free ebooks and using that to create AI content. Different teachings that I've learned from Neville Goddard, I'm using that to create content like living in the end, self-concept, right? Everyone is you pushed out, and you just give the information to AI, it comes up with the script, or you could give it a script and then it'll create a storyboard for you. I'm just, just loving it. And my views on YouTube, now YouTube really, it's filling my AI. TikTok like when I talk about Christianity. TikTok like when I deconstruct from Christianity. So I had to learn what does each platform really like, right? And I realized that when I talk about Christianity, TikTok be feeling me on that. YouTube, the shorts, YouTube, like, they kind of like it all. YouTube, like the deconstructing from Christianity, it likes the AI, it likes the TikTok, so my community is steady growing. And I like it. I'm kind of glad it's like, sometimes we be thinking we want the viral moment and we like, oh, I wish I had, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000 subscribers and followers, which I'm not saying I don't desire that, but I like the unfoldment and the desire that, but I like the unfoldment and the pace of it, right? And I know that is already done, but I'm learning to enjoy the journey of getting there, the journey of experiencing the manifestation. Hey, 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 A-Town, what's up? Yes. Oh, thank you, neighbor. Thank you, thank you. Oh, yes, Gracie, yes. Oh, you trying to join voice bells? Okay, one moment. Oh, thank you, A-Town. Okay. So are all three coming up? A-Town, Gracie, and voice bells? If not, if you don't plan on coming up, you can just drop back down. I'll bring you up, and then if it was an accident, you could just drop yourself back down.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
I'm a little bit of a hot mess, so I'll just do voice. But it was interesting that you brought up the whole inspired action, like, because I could, obviously speak to a lot of things I have resistance to, like SP, right? However, that did make me want to share, because almost to hear myself, because of the contrast of the two subjects. So him leaving me and being in survival mode, right? Mm-hmm. And a huge fear being losing my home, quote, the only thing I have left kind of thing. And so I've been in survival mode these months, and I had reached out to like a women's center previously, right? Who did help me with some of the rent at that time. And then I remember like ignoring their follow-up calls and stuff like that, because I was like, I don't want this to be my story. And I was trying not to feed that. I wanted to feed like abundance and right. So then let's call it a job opportunity came. Keep in mind, I'm very resistant to I don't do jobs. Like that's not the story I want at all. Mm-hmm. So that's important to note, because it was like a little farm job around the corner. So I was making excuses like, well, it's convenient. It's the only thing. But when I accepted it, my whole body was a no, simply because I was aware of the fact that I was saying yes only out of fear, because I had to pay the rent. So that's important to note, because on day 2, my dominant hand was mauled by their dog. Yes. Okay. So, and that'll also point to you. That's why I was asking about, do we give everything good meaning? Because this is where it gets interesting, because I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like, 2 points. Good, maybe to be clear when we ask for things, like maybe painless or enjoyable, right? So learning, right? You said lesson.
Yes.
But that's what went down. And I'm a piano player and musician, like that's what I do. So lots of fear in that, like, why is this happening? Lots of opportunity to be a victim. But what I wanted to share is the inspired action thing, because here I was clamoring to survive again financially. And now it's like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to pay rent. I can't work for months. What am I going to do? And what was interesting was I was just so tired of that one. Like, it was like, no, F this. I don't care what has to happen. I'm not losing my place. And it was almost like a F you to God. I was like, you figure it out. I'm not fighting it. And I kind of just was like, I'm going to not think about it. I'm not going to fight this. I'm too tired of trying to figure it out. And so it was just interesting how one day my brain was like, now keep in mind, it was literally like laying back, like I'm going to figure it out. Like it's going to be done for me. And I had this idea of like calling that same place, even though technically they don't have any reason to help me because of this, right? It's more like for abandonment and abuse and things like this. And point is, I followed through that little whisper, and I convinced them to cover the rent. Even though these aren't like the most positive, preferable stories, it does speak to what I'm noticing, which is like, it's so interesting how you were able to, with that subject, just kind of let it go. Mm-hmm. And let the answer come in. Yes. Because you're but with SP, there's so much built up story and resistance, right? There's a lot more to that. And then second, the other day, I decided to call my dad for the first time in a year and a half. And let me tell you, it's another example of like a year and a half for a reason, right? I do not want to talk to this person, and I've been putting it off, and it's in my awareness. And something, for some reason, the other day was like, just tick that box. Just get it over with, make them feel better, right? So I must stress this. It wasn't like my idea, my mind's idea. It was an inspired action, even though I could argue it. But I followed it. And what happened, even though it wasn't like my favorite thing to do that day and I was exhausted, it resulted in him offering me a month's rent. So isn't that interesting? I just wanted to share that. Just because
I want to give you a couple of wows because, yes, the thing is I know you were saying is you didn't think it was. They are very inspiring because the key to your story is it doesn't always happen the way you think it's going to happen, and not to question or to judge the how, right? Yes, things happened unconventionally, definitely not what you would have chosen
not at all.
at all.
And that's the point, right? Is the mind has no business getting into this, right? And I was led to that. And again, if I were to decide, I would never speak to him again. And I surely don't like asking for help from government or anything like this. This is not my mind story.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wanted to mirror that back to myself. And it's born, and I wish I could communicate the energetics of it, because I really want to apply this to my partner. Do you know what I mean? But I want to hear myself say that, which is like, it shines a light on how controlling my mind still is as far as the how on that subject. This has to happen, then that has to happen. We got to figure that out. So I just wanted to share my own experience, because those are actually positives, and I should praise that.
Yes, absolutely. Right? They're beautiful.
Okay, and then I'll get better maybe at cleaning up. Like, could we make this a little bit smoother and enjoy, So I just wanted to share those little things.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I want to offer regarding, the SP is that now this part you may have to do a little analyzing. Is why? What is it about this person that you want to continue in your life, and why do you think it transpired? Because you have to ask yourself, what did I have to believe in order for me to create this, so that you can think it's opposite? That's the only thing for analyzing, right? Not trying to pose blame or point fingers, but to go within and ask yourself, I have to believe something in order for me to create this experience. What am I believing that allows me to think this is acceptable behavior? How am I perceiving myself so that you can perceive yourself differently?
Absolutely. I mean, I will say before I hang up that, it's gotten so convoluted. First of all, I recommend everyone don't overconsume content. It's a bloody nightmare.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Not good for the mind. The mind is like a crackhead. Like, it's not good. And it's just, I've definitely dug. I've definitely seen how, and this is what I mean, it's so multidimensional, this subject for me, because there's the aspect of me realizing, wow, I've told such a negative story about this person. However, you can then easily flip to the other dimension of what you said, which is you've also tolerated intolerable things, what does that mean about what you think about yourself? And that's where I start to get the lines blurred, which is like, did I create this or not? Is it about changing my internal beliefs about self? And I absolutely notice there is a deep resistance, like a somatic resistance to affirming things like this, like I am worthy, I am chosen, because I'll notice a lot of inner child stuff come up, like, no, you're not, and everyone hates you, and the rest of it. But then you have my mind, my identity, which is like, I know I'm worthy, and I know I'm the shit. And what's so interesting is I've manifested him coming back and out and back and out. So you see how it's gotten so messy, where I just don't know which one to give credence to. It's like, is this about my thoughts about, right? Is it like, am I being pointed to, this guy's an asshole, why do you think you don't deserve better? Or is it you created this from limiting beliefs about yourself and how you expect to be treated and what you think you're worthy of? I'm really confused on that because of the overconsumption. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's why I brought up those success stories, is to kind of remind myself, remember what it felt like when these things happened? It was very effortless technically.
Right. And I guess you're probably compartmentalizing or separating the experiences because you're saying, I created this situation. I'm going to give that over to God. But this situation, what's the reason for this dilemma, for this outputting, this experience that I'm having? And so it's not separate, it's not different. It's still about a self concept, right? Because you're like, well, I would never try to put myself in a position where I needed help from the government or that I would ever have to work a regular job. And so that goes against all the beliefs that I held. And it was a fear manifesting itself, right? Because you probably had a fear that you weren't trying to really confront that manifested itself. What would it be like to actually have to need the government to assist me in an area? That's something that was shunned. And so now you know what it feels like, that it's really not that bad. It doesn't mean any less of you because at one point of time in your life you needed assistance from the government. Because remember, the government is you. The government isn't separate from you. You created the government. And the thing is, if we can realize that every area of our life is a creation of our own personal beliefs, then the things that we no longer want to experience, we have to change our beliefs about it. So when it comes to the SP, you have a certain belief about what relationships look like, what your role is in the relationship, what's the role of the partner in the relationship. Are relationships difficult and hard, especially based on what you see growing up and how you see your friends and your family interact in relationships? Because those help form your belief. They influenced you on how you think relationships should go. And so all of that is playing a part. And it comes down to self-concept. That's where it all stems from. Your self-concept. How do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in the relationship, not just with him, but with any man in general? How do you see yourself in a relationship? Do you think relationships are meant to be difficult and hard and that they're required to make you happy?
Ooh.
Like the other person is responsible for your happiness.
Okay, that's hot because and that's loaded because again, I got 24/7 alone over here, so lots of time for the mind to ponder. And I definitely noticed there's a block around, like I notice I get triggered when people are like, what do you think about, when they generalize, what do you think about relationships? I get really angry because it's like, I don't, and I only think about him. And then when I backpedal, it's like, this is so bizarre because I'm someone who left the country. I left my family. I emancipated myself at 15, right? Mm-hmm. And my song Family Medicine wraps it all up, right? It's like my relationships previous were, I was treated like a goddamn queen. It just doesn't add up. And I have been literally abused over on this one. So it's almost like I could argue like my beliefs that you're trying to point me at, the self-concept, I think it's just so buried, but it's almost as if it's like being dug up beyond my will, right? And or something. I don't know, because the comparison the contrast is insane. When I think about my ex-husband, when I think about my ex-boyfriend, and these are long-term relationships, that's what this is highlighted, which is like, this is bizarre because Matthew was a godsend. He loved me. He supported me. He respected me. Julian, same thing, just, and I'm an artist, and so that's not the easiest thing, right? You got to watch me being around a lot of people and getting a lot of accolades, enough to trigger if you had like self-concept issues of like, I'm not going to be accepted. But I was, and I was not all about myself, but I didn't worry about it. I was focused on what I was doing. Over here on this one, all about him, all about how do we stay together. How, it was all my survival things were, keep in mind, I left my life in England to come here to be with him. And, I was stripped down. So that's what I'm saying is, yes, absolutely. I notice that I have a belief with this one, which is you need to make me feel safe. Like your presence makes me feel happy. Without you, I can't be happy. Without you, I'm rejected. Without you, it means I'm not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. So you could tip your hat, I guess, to him. Wow, you've exposed all my shit that that I didn't know I had left. You know what I
Well,
mean?
he's just mirroring your deepest fears. That's
Deepest.
all.
I mean,
He's
deepest.
just playing the role that you created in your mind when it came to the fear of this experience.
I must stress subconscious fear. I
Yep.
don't remember having this fear. I was
Right.
elated. I left everything because I was so sure of it, right?
Hmm.
And it's been anything but since the
So
beginning.
did you ever have a fear of abandonment?
It gets really weird. Like, what I notice is when I dig there, there's no, I don't know if this is a block, right? I don't know if this is my subconscious doing its thing, being like, we're going to keep you nice and safe. But I do notice when I dig, all I can get to is like, okay, if you're honest with yourself, you always had a belief that like you're not like wife material. You know, you're always the different one. You're the artist. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, right? So you're kept out of the classroom. You're not included. And what's manifested with Luis? Not being invited to the family events, being left out of everything, being abandoned. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's all I can get to is like, okay, from birth, you were programmed to be on the outside of things. Does that make sense? No family, no roots, no belonging. And that is why feel so stuck and obsessed, because it's like, family, I have to achieve family with you. I have to be wanted. I have to belong somewhere. And what have I manifested? Being alone, abandoned, having no friends, right? Isolated in the middle of nowhere, not on the stage with a million fans. And like, it's so fascinating.
So you're saying that help. So Neville Goddard and Dr. Joseph Murphy both talk about this. It's called the law of reversibility. Too much effort produces the opposite of what you desired. You were trying to force this, and you said it had to be this way. And your strong desire to make it so, as opposed to allowing it to just naturally develop in that way, you put a fear attached to it. And you said it must be this way. I have to make it so. So your efforting pushed him away and caused this, because you were in this relationship out of desperation, as opposed to out of loving yourself and knowing that you deserve the best.
Can I say it started that way, right? The picture was all the girlfriends crying and celebrating me, saying, do this, you deserve this, always writing you poems every day, right? And then, yes, then the opposing, what you just said, which is because I was stripped of all my everything, right? No friends, no community, no money. It was like I made the leap of faith. And then he was starting to show up a certain way, let's just call it that. And I was physically abandoned over and over and over. And so, yes, it became desperation almost in a heartbeat, like out of nowhere. I felt not prepared for it. And I didn't have the identities I was used to fall back on, if that makes sense. My confidence was gone. My identity as a singer was gone. It's been bizarre. So that's my last question is, given what you just said, which is inarguable, there remains the desire, and I'm not a stupid woman, or maybe I am, which is when I break it down, you asked why. When I break it down, I'm real honest. It's like, because you desire connection. You desire companionship, and it's okay. You desire to be wanted. You want and my stories, I want him. I don't want someone else. And it's not I know I could quote, get anyone or whatever. I don't have the desire to. I want that body. I want that face. I want that voice. However, I want to change everything about him. You know what I'm saying?
Woo, like that right there.
Well, let me say that better, because I'm being a bit facetious. I have watched him show up in the ways that I originally created him. And I long for that. And there's something in me that's so arrogant and stubborn that I seem to not give up on it. And I want someone to clarify, is this just my ego and fear? Or is it fair? Can I be included in the club of you can have whatever you desire?
You can have whatever you desire. And here's this is where we're going to start from. What do you want? Love who you are and allow it to manifest. Because that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from you loving you. And so he has to mirror that back to you. But right now, you're not loving you. You're saying that he must love you. and that his love validates your love for you. But I want your love to validate you, and then he confirms it.
Yes. And that's where I feel I need a little bit of clarity, because it's like, because I don't like to lie. I like to be real brutally honest with myself. I like to out myself and tell on myself, which is like, you don't love yourself. You literally believe that until, right, you get what you want from the outside, which is in this case is him, to say you're beautiful, you're wanted. It's true, Carrie. You're the package deal. It's true. It's undeniable. Look at you. How proud I am that you cannot feel like I'm on my own. And it's like, that's where the light is being shown, which is, but it's not, it seems to be because of what I have allowed. It's almost like you're irredeemable. You allowed this. And so how could you possibly love yourself when, and then you have the stories of like, look, he's thriving without you, so you must be the problem, etc. You know what I mean? The mind is just reeling off reasons why would you be lovable? Look at you. You're depressed. You got a mangled hand now, and it's just reeling it off. And I'm struggling to combat that, because before, you could argue this was ego or identity, but it worked. Before, I had a lot of reasons. I had my youth, I had my career, I had my community, I had so much love and beauty in my life, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm having to convince myself I love myself in poverty, like with every fear manifest at the same time on every level of being. Mm-hmm. And I'm just waving the little white flag. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know how you could see how I end up over consuming and looking outside of myself, because those feelings are very uncomfortable, because my mind is essentially saying, you failed, you fucked up. Right. And
there's no failure. Here's the thing. That's where changing perspective has to take place. And as Gracie said, forgiving yourself, right? So you're having the experience, and that's what we're here for, to have the human experience. And so you're experiencing being human with all of the fears, with all of the doubts, with all of the limitations being manifested. And that's okay. You have to tell yourself that's okay. Truly, truly forgive yourself, because none of those things are true. All of those things you just said, all of the things, that little voice, that doubt, that fear, those limiting beliefs, that's all programming. That's not who you are. The core of you is love, peace, joy, compassion, success, health, wealth, every good thing you could think of. That's who you truly are. That other voice is just the experiences labeling and giving it judgment. And so now we want to remove judgment from the experience and say that's all it was, an experience. I experienced every fear I was afraid of experiencing. Now what? Now I get to choose me. Now I know what it feels to feel unwanted, to feel unloved, to lose community, to have the government have to assist me, to work a job that I never wanted. I know exactly what that feels like. I had the experience. Now I get to choose me. Now I get to love me, even with all of those experiences, because the experiences don't define you. They're just a part of the human. It's just part of this third dimensional plane.
So what is
yes.
what is the avenue, do you think, to, again, when I'm really honest with myself, when I come from the heart and not the mind, it's so much more loving, which is, sweetheart, you love love. You love loving. You love to be loved. You love to be the light in the room. And I also got the experience of like, you love being a wife, which is funny, because I was like the antithesis to that. So you would think, right? And I love it. I love being at home. I love nurturing my environment. So is there a way, do you think, because you said you have to allow this to unfold. So where I'm stuck, I notice, and I feel like keep in mind the rent thing. I feel like there's something effortless I'm just not allowing myself, right? Which is that it is about letting go, yes. But the fork in the road of like, it's like, how do I let it? My desire is companionship, and there's almost like a guilt to that. I don't know why. Where or maybe the fear comes up of like, what if you don't get it? then you won't be happy kind of thing. But it's like at this point of my life, right? I was in my 20s, my 30s over there doing all that stuff. I'm in my 40s now. You know what I mean? I'm tired. Like, I just want to chill out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I did it. Trust me when I say I lived a full ass life. And I want to be home and I want to plant flowers. I want to make you dinner and I want to have sex with you. And that's pretty much like, and my cats. And I'm gravy. I'm cool. And some sushi. You know what I'm saying? Like, so can that be even with all that backstory and all that calamity with him? And the question is how? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, allow it to unfold. However, I'm here alone and all day long I'm like, but my desire is you come home right now and you're home and you're home and you're not home. You're over there, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Before I answer, Gracie wanted to add something. I'm going to let Gracie speak. Hi,
Okay.
Gracie. Can you hear me, Gracie? I don't know if Gracie is still available, but they're up here.
Thank you before she comes on for your time and your energy. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, you say it's not working? Well, on my end, your mic is on. Maybe you want to drop back down and come back up. Let me see. Maybe I'll drop you and then you can come back up and then we'll try again.
Everyone else feel that Grace is about to drop some deep wisdom on me?
Yes. Just a little technical difficulty. Let's see. Okay, I'm bringing Gracie back up. Miss Millionaire, did you want to come up too? Gracie, I think I hear you now.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
perfect.
there you go.
I was gonna say, was your name Kathy? Voice bells? Carrie, my apologies. I was gonna say that I think it was Joe Dispenza. He mentions that if you constantly regurgitate the same things, that it doesn't create any new neural pathways. So you're allowed to acknowledge that you deserve better and want better, but then it's also a matter of what are you telling yourself and what are you replacing that energy with? So the law of transmutation, or even the law of forgiveness or anything. So if you want a loving partner, you don't want, you have. If you desire anything, you can have that thing. So it's a matter of how gentle are you being with yourself. You're allowed to forgive yourself, and not everything needs to be over intellectualized. That used to be my biggest problem. As an academic, as a chronic people pleaser, the further I intellectualize things, it kind of created for me a chronic victim state. And I became so comfortable in expecting and anticipating things the worst case scenarios to happen, which is fair because we all have our issues and struggles and whatnot. But the moment I got kind of annoyed with that and I searched for deeper knowledge and actually applied what I was learning, I've noticed amazing transformations. So regardless of what's happening, the job market sucks or this sucks, I still apply myself and I don't let any external circumstances define me. Also just upbringing and whatnot. So obviously, I have my own issues and whatnot, but regardless of that, that's not the end of your story. We have so much time on this earth. So what are we doing with it? What are we replacing our old self-concept with? So if I say something oh, I hate my body, instead of saying that, how do you transition from the state of hate or want? You just identify with having it as. So oh, I'm anemic. No, I'm not anemic. Or I'm hungry. Then I just go within and I seek the food or the knowledge kind of thing. I hope that made sense. Sorry if that's really rushed.
Reply to that because it's so bloody beautiful. Okay, so what this is doing for me, there's a light bulb moment going off and it's quite beautiful, which is, this is the irony of me. I always said I'm inside out, right? So in life, I really excel in the hardest things that humans may never achieve, right? And then I suck at the basic shit. But what you're highlighting for me is this kind of whisper that's been coming in, which is ironically to my now, part of the frustration and judgment that I have to forgive myself for is, so I am for example, I'm a trained sound therapist. I've been a healer. I've helped thousands of people with this very thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm laughing at myself all day. Trust me. where it's like, how am I here? So this is what's so interesting about your feedback is it's I've spent my life living in, let's just call it spirituality, right? The lightness of being. I've created magic my whole life. You know, what a shame to discover manifestation. What a shame that's been, because I was doing it. I was a master up until then, right? Um, right? Without the mind, like you said. I didn't use the mind. I used the heart, and I used stillness and just beingness, and I was powerful and magical, and I changed lives. So here, what's so interesting about what you're saying is, I'm like, wow, I think what might be happening, especially with your comment, is I'm being led back full circle. Because in this story, I shed all those parts of me because I was so busy trying to prove that I could be like a normal person for him. You know, a wife, like something that's not too big. My wings are pretty big, right? And you said people pleasing. Boy, I didn't know I was one of those until now.
Yeah, and it's okay to desire things. Like for me, like I could go on and on about my man. Like I love him down. Like he's my Harry Styles. But I think for me, it's like the moment that I said that, like, I'm deserving of these things. I deserve princess treatment. It's the language that you use towards yourself. It makes anything you want to be towards that person more easy. So it's not about like attaining some sort of status or like external approval or validation from your partner. It's who do you say that I am? So who are you being to yourself? Like how are you showing up to yourself in the world? And then everything else just kind of unfolds and aligns. Like the further you try to like kind of force this like kind of like self-deprecation and like this need, it pushes like the person so much further away from you. Like I've even noticed that with my partner now. We've been together for 5 years. So the moment you slow it down, you show up as your best self. Like I get all pretty, I flaunt my body, I know that I'm that girl. He reflects that back to me like tenfold.
Powerful. And it's I feel vulnerable just because now we're in separation, right? I'm actually being ghosted right now. So like all my triggers are up. But what I wanted to highlight is like that's the shame that comes up when I need to forgive myself for is I stopped being the woman he fell in love with, right? I reduced my power, right, to please, to keep. And so this is what I'm going to take from this is return to self regardless, right? Because worst case, you'll have yourself back. You'll be in your power and right, you'll be the walking example and then hopefully a magnet again. But yeah, so I'm not observed right now by him, right? So I'd have to do it for myself, won't I?
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where like you have to really like, I don't believe in the whole be delusional thing. I do believe that there's so many external things happening behind the scenes that we don't see. So even with certain jobs that I've wanted, and I don't physically see them yet, I've eventually like I didn't even realize I've applied for them and I'm getting interviews now. So it's like there's so many things happening behind the scenes that you're not aware of. So this constant vigilance and looking on like external circumstances, it doesn't serve you. So if you want that person, they're there, but like, are you there with them? Are you being still? Are you allowing them to enter? Or are you kind of like unintentionally further pushing them away?
Intentionally pushing them away.
Yes, I would say stop because like I've actually realized you've affirmed everything that you don't want in the span of like the 10 to 15 minutes. So I think it's also being so vigilant with like the language that you're using even on platforms like this, because you're kind of, now you have 18 people kind of like unintentionally projecting that kind of energy too. We obviously want these things for you, but the stories you're telling us, they're not really serving you or in your favor. So what would you tell like your girlfriends, like someone in your life that you like, if they wanted a certain relationship and whatnot? You would say, yeah, this person's here. Like, yeah, of course you're loved. Of course you're desired. Of course you have a ring on your finger.
Love that.
True. I can't argue. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you need an accountability buddy, I'm totally open. My DMs are open because I love this stuff.
Well, add me and kick my ass.
I will. Yeah, but thanks for letting me join, Toyia. What I was going to say is that I used to call myself NA, then I thought like I wanted to be mysterious, but then I thought to myself like, am I unintentionally like creating like not being applicable to different areas of my life? It's like revamped all of my socials and everything. It's insane.
Beautiful. Oh, and thank you for the gems you dropped in, helping who is this? Voicemails. I'm sorry, voicemails, because I'm not using my glasses, so I have my screen pulled so I can see the chat better. But Oh my goodness, voicemails and Gracie, has been beautiful, so amazing. I loved the interaction and the genuineness and the vulnerability, right? And I know, coming to a platform like this and sharing, your trials and your challenges and wanting life to be different and navigating how to allow that into your experience, takes a lot of courage, right? And I know, no one knows anyone personally, and we're all just navigating this experience the best way we know how. And a lot of it may come through trial and effort. I come to realize that once you allow yourself to get still and really ask the question from within, you always get the answer. Always. The answer always comes when you ask, and especially sincerely, because we all can give you what we think you should do, but what you should do, the answer is found inside of you. And so to accept that we are already that which we desire to be. I know we hear it over and over and over again, and it sounds like a little cliche, but it's not. You truly are that which you are seeking for. You would not be seeking it had you not already found it. You are already all that you desire. You already are loved. You already have the relationship of your dreams. You are already that person, that girl. You already have everything you've been desiring. It's just about awakening to that belief. It's about trusting it. It's about accepting it. And like you said, I know we talk about the mind. I don't separate the mind from the heart. When I talk about the mind, I'm talking about the heart. When I'm talking about the heart, I'm talking about the mind. I'm not talking about from an intellectual standpoint when we talk about the mind. When we talk about the mind, we're talking about the imagination, the consciousness, the awareness, the heart. They are synonymous, not intellectualizing this experience, but allowing yourself to know and be the experience.
One more thing, and then I'll get off.
Of course.
The beauty to it, because it goes back to the heart, which is what I notice is what I seem to be fighting for. It makes me really emotional. Is I truly love this person, and one of God's gifts to me is seeing to the core of you, beyond your story, beyond your trauma. Who and obviously the block is, can you do that for yourself? I know, but with him. I see his highest expression. I know it's there. And that's what I'm fighting for. It's like, it's this determination of like, you are this loving being. You do want partnership. You're allowed to have it all. And it's almost like fighting his limitations, right? So I just want to clarify that's what I'm devoted to, it seems, is like, I don't want to give up on that story of me being worthy of this man I know he is, beyond the bullshit, the distortions, the clouds. And maybe I'm being pointed on to like, he's a reflection of you, so you have to do that for yourself. But I just want to say that I just want to give life to a better story of him, where I've apparently failed to do that because of my own reactions and my own fears, right? I want to be vindicated. I want both of us to be vindicated.
Yeah, it comes with forgiveness, right? You keep telling the story of the man you don't want him to be, but he keeps being that man because you keep telling that story. And but once you decide to tell the different story,
you want someone that has done bad things. Is that right? Because that's the story I apparently told.
And the thing is, it's the story that you continue to tell. It's not about what you've told, because there's no past. That doesn't exist. That person doesn't exist anymore, except only in your mind. And that's where that person lives, in your mind. Until you change the story in your mind, you won't experience the person in your life. So you have to decide to tell a different story and to remain faithful to that story.
Thank you.
Remain faithful. Even when the old story, you have to, that's where whatchamacallit was telling us, now you got to talk to yourself. Now you got to tell yourself to shut up. Because the old mind is going to say, but he did this and he did that and he's this and he's that and he's such, and then you have to be like, no, that's not who he is. He's actually this person. You can take any experience that you feel was negative and change it and say, well, actually, he did this. Well, actually, he brought me flowers the day you thought he was probably the asshole. You can change and say, well, actually, he brought me flowers. Actually, he took me out to dinner. Actually, he told me I was the most beautiful woman he's ever met, that I was the woman of his dreams. This is actually what he told me. This is actually what he said. Beautiful woman he's ever met, that I was the woman of his dreams. This is actually what he told me. This is actually what he said. He actually says this about me. He actually thinks this way about me. When he talks about me to his friends and his family, this is how he's talking and speaking of me. Because remember, it's your thoughts that create reality. It's what you say about me to his friends and his family. This is how he's talking and speaking of me. Because remember, it's your thoughts that create reality. It's what you say that comes into form, into being. It's not about what he says. He has no free will. This is not his story. It's yours. You're telling the story. You're writing the script. You're playing it out in your mind, because the only reality is in your mind. That's the only where reality lives, in your mind. Absolutely. Come from love. Yes. Yes. Transmutation. Absolutely. Yep. That's it. Yep. Whatever you believe, it is so. Remove the judgments. Yep. Remove the judgments. Yep. We can have whatever we desire. We just have to give it to ourselves, and we have to remain faithful to our desire. Move from desire to having, right? Remaining faithful to desire, seeing yourself already with it. It doesn't mean to keep desiring it. It means to live in the end, to act as though you already have it. Live it in your mind, because when you live it in your mind, you'll experience it in your world. But that's where faithfulness is key. You must remain steadfast. You must be diligent. And it doesn't have to be something that you're doing all day long, right? You do it, you take 3 to 4 times out the day, 5 to 10 minutes, and as you're going to sleep, speaking it into reality. If you're a visualizer, then you visualize it as you go to sleep. If you're a great communicator, then you talk about it as you go to sleep. If you desire to do both, if you're a writer and you think writing it down helps to impress it upon the subconscious mind, then write it down. Tell the story. Say it as you want it to be. But like I always said, I don't care where you are. You may forget the pen and the paper. You may forget the phone. But you always will have your mind with you. You'll always have your mind. So impress it in your heart, right? Lead with love. It's like, how would you want someone to think of you had you made those same errors? Have you made those same misjudgments? Have you done the exact thing that you're claiming the other person did? How would you want them to perceive you? Would you want them to extend grace? Well, of course you would. You would want someone to extend grace. You would want someone to have compassion. So then you want compassion, you must what? Be compassionate. You want understanding, then you must what? Be understanding. You get what you give always, because you're both the giver and the receiver. Hey, all Yep, at the end of the day is what works for you. You are the technique. Absolutely. You said, what's your cues? What are cues? A-Town. So I can give meaning to the silence, to his silence, that I am being given grace. Yep. Because remember, it's not about him, it's about you. Take the attention off him and just put it on you. We don't change circumstances. We don't change effects. We change the cause. And the cause is what? Always mental. It's always your thoughts turn to things. Always. He has no free will in your reality. You're writing the script. You're saying what role he is to play in your life. So he's playing the role of the husband. The best husband there is. No one can top so write that script of the type of husband you desire for him to play. and see him playing it and remain faithful to it. Don't figure out how it's going to happen. Don't figure out when it's going to happen. That's not your work. You're just to what? Live in the end. See yourself already with them. Letting go of the old state. You have to be willing to let go of the old story. That's what's key. Because remember, we don't have the power to change anyone. We only have the power to what? Change our perspective of them. We don't experience people. We experience our concept of them. Always. You don't experience other people. You experience your concept of them. Because how you're perceiving them is not how someone else is going to perceive them. So they're not going to have the same experiences you're having. Because they don't have the same thoughts of them as you have. Oh, yes. You said you asked 2 questions? It is a lovely night tonight. Yes. I don't see. Let me see. I'm scrolling back up. Oh, you said, oh, it's testimony. Yes, testimony is like giving a success story. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't see the other question. But yes, I saw that question. Oh, we don't know nothing about no sky dude though. I don't know who that is. We don't acknowledge anything outside of self. Hey, Takai. I know I'm always saying your name wrong, so I'm just gonna say the radiant. I don't like to mispronounce people's names, so I'm gonna say the radiant leader. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. He said he's been raising his hand for a minute. Yeah, we walked away from the Christian theology of thinking that the power is on the outside. We understand that the power is within, right? And yes, there is an invisible force, and that invisible force is within us. It was never outside of us, right? And so we know that that invisible force, that intelligence, the I am, the subconscious mind is always at work. It is what operates our, as they would say, sympathetic nervous system, right? It's what allows us to breathe. It's responsible for the functionality of all 12 systems of the body, right? It is what created and formed the body, right? And the gift that we were given is mind and speech. We were given the gift of thought and the gift to speak the thought, because the spoken word is also powerful just as well as your thoughts about it. Yeah, I don't know either. Yes, voice bells. Yes, very, very thank you for sharing your story, because I know it helped those in the chat. I know it helped, someone that may be, finding it challenging to see other people differently. But we have to understand there are no other people, right? We think that there are other people, but actually they are what? Projections of our subconscious beliefs. And so we hold beliefs about every area of our life. And based on those beliefs, we bring experiences into our life. And so those experiences come in the form of our lovers or our friends, our family, right? The work we choose to do, the amount of money, our health. All those things come into expression based on our belief system. That's why we're told over and over, when you change your mind, you change your world, right? And I know a lot of people, emphasize feeling. And if you feel feeling is necessary, then that will be what you will need in order to experience your manifestations. If you feel like you have to conjure up some type of feeling along with your desire, then that will be your law. No one's saying it's wrong. Just know that that's your law. Not everyone has to manifest in that way. Not everyone has to get a feel good feeling before the thing they desire comes into manifestation. I know and you know this too from experience, that the way that we've been programmed in this society, like I would use the advertising on TV when we were, the way that we've been programmed in this society, like I would use the advertising on TV when we were, before we got social media, most of us, not a lot of us watched TV, right? And we had commercials, and the advertisers ran commercials. They didn't care how you felt about what you were seeing. They knew that repetition is what would cause you to be drawn to something or not. It was you hearing it over and over and over again. The jingle of McDonald's, the jingle of, Pizza Hut, or the jingle of certain like Pepsi Cola or Coca-Cola or Sprite or whoever. They understood the frequency of which you saw something, the repetitiveness nature of it will cause you to what? Want it. The more you saw it, the more you heard the jingle, the more you will be gravitated towards it. So that's how the subconscious mind works, through repetition. Repetitively saying something over and over again, purposefully. That's why some people tell you, get you some headphones and get you some subliminal, recordings, so you can have those thoughts on repeat. I would say, if you're going to listen to a voice, listen to your own. Create your own recording and listen to your own voice talk to you and tell you how wonderful and amazing and how dynamic you are as you go to sleep, if that's something that you feel led to do. Yes, subliminal psychology. Yes. And the more you say it, and you want to also give yourself a reason, right? Because when you give yourself a reason and you fall in love with whatever you're desiring to manifest, that makes it easy. That makes it effortless for you to want to do it. If you make it a chore, then now you're kind of doing it begrudgingly, and you're putting forth too much effort. And trying to force a thing usually have you experiencing the opposite, because you're coming from a place of lack. You're telling yourself you don't have this thing, and so you're trying to figure out how to get it. And trying to figure out how to get it just produces its opposite. And many of you can attest to this. Trying to make something happen just caused more. It didn't make it happen, right? Like, you trying to force a thing into view or into your experience, you recognize that you actually never experienced it, or you got the opposite effect. But when you learn to just light and easy, say what you want, believe you have it, let it go. And I know we hear a lot about that phrase, let it go, let it go, let it go. How I explain let it go, or how I discern letting go, is giving no thought, not trying to figure it out. Not that you're letting go of your desire, but you're letting go of the worry, the concern, the way of which it may come into your experience. You're not trying to figure anything out. You're letting go of the doubt. You're letting go of the fears. You're letting go of the belief that it can't happen for you. You say master of that. Yep. Hey, Miss Clark. Welcome. Yeah. And the thing is that we have this innate ability to be like, certain things we can like get tired of, and we tell ourselves, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this. No, this isn't happening anymore. And we get bold and we get to talking to ourselves because we're tired of being sick and tired. But then other things, we feel almost too much of an emotional connection to it. And so we're letting our emotions rule as opposed to our knowing. We're like, oh my goodness, that emotional instability, that fear, that, you know, that fear can be so strong. And it's how would some people say, like, emotional immaturity, like you're letting your emotions dictate your experience. And so that's when you want to detach from the emotion part of it and get still and get relaxed and get calm and get into that state of knowing and trusting. And so you have to even detach from the emotions. That's why I say your feelings don't matter, because you think your feelings are supposed to trump your assumption. No. Feeling is the secret isn't about your emotions. Feeling is the secret is about your no. Feeling is the secret isn't about your emotions. Feeling is the secret is about your knowing. Your acceptance of the end wills the means to that end. When you accept the end, the way it comes into fruition will happen on its own. It doesn't need your help. It doesn't need your assistance. Hey, D Rich. Yep. Tired of worrying about survival, but still so much emotional. How you been, D Rich? What's happening? Yeah. And I get it. When we think, you know, people should have behaved differently than what we intended, right? And we put our self-worth based on how they see us or how they treat us, we've given our power away, right? We've said it's the way they think, the way they see. But is it really a them? Is it really they think? Is it really they see? Or is it really you forgot your own harvest? You forgot the seeds that you planted. You forgot that actually you didn't really think you were worthy of this relationship. You didn't really think that you could have all that you desired. You made them what validated your worth. And if they didn't validate your worth, then you weren't worthy. If they couldn't see how awesome you were, like you hear people say they lost themselves in a relationship, they no longer had a voice. The two minds became one mind. and the other person was who made all the decisions, who's the reason for your existence, and without them you can't breathe. Y'all remember that song by Chris Brown, and what was her name, that duet? No air, right? How can I breathe without no air? Like you made them your air, you made them your reason for living, right? Be careful. Never lose yourself. Oh, you're welcome, Gracie. You have a great night too. Come on up, D Rich. Miss Millionaire Energy, did you want to come up? Hello.
What's up, family? How you?
Great. I know you got some manifestation stories for us. Some success stories.
I was just tapping into what you were talking about just now. Feelings of the Secret, my favorite work by Neville Goddard. Um, what I was gonna say, just kind of co-signing what you were talking about, was for most, I don't know if the audience have heard of attachment theories, right? But for most, the attachment theory, whether that's anxious or avoidant, that's what they keep attracting back to their life because that's the feeling that they believe in versus knowing that the manifestation is coming.
Yes, yes. Say that again, Rich.
So for most, the attachment style,
Mhm.
right? So, in our childhood, quote unquote, right? That's kind of where it comes, the subconscious programming, because we
Mhm.
know this is all based on subconscious programming, right?
Mhm.
So we're talking about rewiring the subconscious. So for an example, if someone, quote unquote, is anxious, right? It's not that they're showing anxiety. They demonstrate that through quote unquote people pleasing. So they keep attracting scenarios that put them in a scenario of having to prove their worth, and proving their worth over and over again is what they continue to attract on a repeated basis. So if I say, hey, I'm going to get XYZ money, or if I say, hey, I'm going to get XYZ relationship, I'm getting the thing that I currently believe in the attachment style is the response to said trauma. So that's what they keep retracting to their lives until they actually get over that particular feeling and reprogram themselves with what they know.
Ooh, ooh. What do we know? That was. Did you ever see that movie? What the bleep do we know?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Okay.
And
But no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and for me, whenever I've talked to people, I don't come on live like you do, but whenever I talk to people, we talk about like knowing and their belief in that expectation is typically connected to that attachment style, right? So that's so subconsciously, it's keep giving you that quote unquote lessons for you to be able to overcome that lesson. So it's all about, having confidence in oneself. No one can attract anything in life. It's all based on a mirror of how you feel about yourself.
Ooh, yes.
So relationships, money, health, it's all connected to how do you see yourself. And the knowing is that I know I am God. I know that abundance is made for me, right? I always share manifestation stories. So people like, how do you manifest from growing up in income apartments to the lifestyle you have now? Knowing, confidence in myself, believing. Some people would say even teeter totters on arrogance, but I'm not arrogant at all. I just love myself, and most people lie to themselves, which is okay until you get there, right?
Hmm.
But they really don't love themselves because either they're trying to avoid situations or they're trying to prove themselves in situations. So you always in that constant battle of doing those two subconsciously. Then you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, if life is really reflecting things back to me, how much confidence do I really have in myself? How much belief do I really have that this thing was meant for me?
That's what people are afraid of, right? Looking
Yes,
in
that's
that
correct.
mirror, looking
The
in the
mirror.
mirror, and
Hmm.
thinking that they're going to come up short.
Yes, that's correct. I always say in the land of duality, you either gonna get exactly who you are or what perceives to be the opposite. But if you really get underneath it, right, you realize that both have the same core issues, the same core vibration, right? So it looks like it's opposite, but it's not opposite at all. It's just a reflection of who you are.
Ooh, a reflection. Life is a mirror, is a magnified mirror.
The magnified mirror, and it's typically magnified in four areas, right? Health, wealth, love, and of course, happiness. And some people attach happiness to passions.
Woo! Yep. And so where do you land in that space? That's what you have to ask yourself. And the confidence is what people feel like they were stripped of when you're told that you're less than all of your life, right? When you live in a society that points out your quote unquote shortcomings, right? And so now overcoming that that subconscious programming of you're unworthy, you're not enough, you need to do more, you have to be validated from the outside in. And so overcoming that. Like one of my daughters, oh my goodness, her confidence is so off the chain. It's just like, and she's the one that has like, you know, a lot of followers on TikTok or whatever. And she was dating a guy that, you know, she was like the stay-at-home girlfriend, but she decided that she was settling. And so she walked away from the relationship, got her own place, still in school, found a job that she absolutely is killing it. And she was like, you know, it only took me one time to be in a relationship that made me feel less than. And she said, I would never do that again. So I'm never going to settle for what I expect or what I want. And she was like you were saying, you know, people call her arrogant, but she's like, no, I'm confident. My confidence doesn't mean that you're less than. It does, but I'm not going to allow you to think that I'm less than.
That's right.
I'm not putting anybody else down, but I know who I am.
Like my 15-year-old daughter, you know, subconsciously, she doesn't realize this, but I do. You know, she's been programmed to travel, right?
Okay.
So, like, she's been to, you know, she's done traveling cheer. So, you know, we stay in South Carolina. So, you know, all the major states, big cities, right? Atlanta, Florida, Texas. And then that started morphing all of a sudden. Then her family started taking trips. They've been to Canada, Japan. She just came back from Hawaii / California. She went to California after Hawaii. And then while on that trip, one of her friends, here's the attraction part because she's a program, right? Called and said, hey, do you want to go on a cruise to Mexico with me and my family? And my daughter was so confident in saying no, because she's like, Dad, I'll go to Mexico. I just don't want to go without my family, right? So, but she started attracting additional trips just out of the blue. And so most of the people like, she's 15, she's been to all these places. Yeah, she attracts it all the time. So I can only imagine when she gets older, whoever her husband is, better watch out.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And y'all say it's just in her to travel, right? That's been a part of her world, right? So it's like it just becomes natural. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The challenge with transforming the thinking, we say it's challenging, so then we create these obstacles for ourselves, right? Because we've been conditioned that it's supposed to be hard, and we keep telling ourselves that it's hard. And so when you program the subconscious mind for hardship, then that's what it's going to create. It's going to give you these obstacles. It's going to give you these barriers. But if you can just, as you sleep, to tell yourself that life gets easier, that life is easier, that life is easier, that the subconscious mind will direct you in the way you should go, right? Will not let you miss opportunities or miss ways for you to be successful. And I don't think we like really talk to our higher self enough. Like we don't really like lean into it to really lead and guide us. It's like we wait till things get frustrated, get out of hand, and then we want to run and be like, oh, but I can't meditate. Oh, life is so like we wait till things get out of hand to want to then pray and meditate.
That's right. I got 3 tips for that, right? So we talked about talking to your higher self. So tip 1, right? I'm gonna give 3. Before I go to sleep every night, you know, the internal dialogue, right? You know, my goal is to see if I can get to a blank canvas. So I do 2 things before I go to sleep. First thing I do I go to sleep is, you know, of course I close my eyes, and before I go into a deep sleep or meditation, right? You have internal dialogue, and the first thing I say out to myself is, I love you, David. And then I wait for the internal dialogue to internally respond back to me and says, I love you too. Then I do that a couple of times. And then after that, I say, you know, because meditation, you always hear about having a blank canvas, having a blank thought. I will ask my mind, can you think of a thought without me triggering a thought? and I would sit there and see if a thought would come. And magically, guess what happens? No thought comes. And at that point, when the thought stopped coming, I start imagining and I allow myself to fall into a deep sleep. All right, that's tip one. Tip two, for those people who have problems with meditating during the daytime, right? Of course, we know meditation about breath work, clearing the mind, breath work. So I was like, well, what are some other things that I would do that naturally changes my breath, right? So number one, when you exercise, you automatically change your breathing patterns when you exercise. All right. So exercising can help you get into a meditative state, especially if you don't allow yourself to be distracted. All right. And then number three, this also kind of deals with the breath, but more importantly, the heart space. Every summer, and I had one client from life coaching, he had just recently went through a divorce. He wanted to know why. We broke down the reasons why, his attachment, hers, how to get to that point, what he was asking the universe for. And he wanted to be a doctor, but he had no time, or a high-paying nurse. So he's put in the situation to be inside it by himself in order to manifest his dream, because that current environment wouldn't allow it. So after we broke down why, he's like, okay, now I know why. Well, how do I continue this manifestation thing? I said, well, we don't try to manifest, we just manifest. But here's what I want you to do. Before most people pass away, they create what's called a bucket list. We ain't dying, just manifest. But here's what I want you to do. Before most people pass away, they create what's called a bucket list. We ain't dying, we living right now. So we're going to turn this into a fun list. So write down a bunch of activities, right? And how you know it's a part of your fun list is you'll start smiling as you're writing it down, right? And I don't care, whatever's personally fun to you, okay? Write that down on the list. It could be inexpensive. It could be something as reading a book. It could be something as simple as, watching a comedy or going outside, whatever it is that makes you smile on the inside. Do those activities. And he did those activities, and he came back at the end of the summer. It's like, me and my boys did the fun list. That's okay, that's amazing. He's like, you didn't say miracles were going to happen. And I just laughed. He was like, yeah, one time, we was at this Bible study, and, we were talking about the psychology of the Bible, and, this young lady was there. I never noticed her before, but she's always been there, and we got a date next week. And I was like, okay, amazing. And he was like, why are you so calm? I said, because that's what the fun list is supposed to do. If I told you to go out and do these things to try to manifest, mentally, you may block it. So that's like my biohack. We're not thinking about manifestation. What we're going to do is we're going to simply live in that space by having fun. You're going to be a good steward of your daily activities. I'm not trying to say not pay your bills, none of that stuff, right? But you're going to live in that heart space and then watch the miracles come back to you. So those are my hacks that I can share with people today. There's some tips I use to manifest. Because some people can't shut down their thoughts. So what are some alternate ways that can help me shut them down?
Beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Oh, that was amazing. Yes. Hopefully, and you take what you can and apply it and see if it works for you, if it resonates with you, right? Because there is no you should or you shouldn't. It's about what resonates with you, and have fun with it. That's the part that we kind of miss out on, right? D Rich, like, people forget to have fun. That this life is supposed to be fun. We get so caught up in trying to make things happen. I think that's what causes the anxiety and the depression and, all of these diseases of the body, because we spend so much time trying to figure things out and try to make something happen.
I always say that the vision doesn't come unless, it was meant for you. So once the vision comes, I get excited. Oh, new gift about to show up. Like an Amazon package. It's coming in the mail. My wife gets the Amazon packages. I do the big manifesting, right?
Yeah.
So you just triggered me another hack. Can I remember it again? Let me see. It just slipped my mind.
To come back.
Oh, no, I got it. Manifesting in your learning style. Some people, their love language is or their learning style is they gotta touch it, right? Physical touch. So, put things in your life that you can touch and they act like sigils that brings you happiness. For other people, it's affirmation, right? They like words of affirmation. Okay, maybe get you a gold card or write down I'm grateful statements. For other people, is or also for words of affirmation, maybe audiobooks. For other people, it's reading and writing, right? You know, I give you one thing. Here's how I manifest my food truck. Okay, so I'm audio visual. So one day I'm laying in the bed, had this vision for a food truck. I immediately got out of bed in excitement. I found a white sheet of construction paper or whatever it is, and I drew the food truck, right? And then after that, I turned my kitchen into a small restaurant. And I had like small little mini appliance, George Foreman grill, a little rack, you know what I'm saying, that would look like a rack that you would put sandwich buns on if I was in a restaurant. And whenever I would make food in that little area, but in my mind, I was in a big restaurant.
Nice. Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up. Man, for me, manifesting, I just talk to myself. So I'm just more of a like like with the GPS maps. So my husband, he doesn't like to read the direction. He just likes to go to the map, and the map tells him what to do. So he's he's a visual manifester, right? He can see things. Me, I just go. I like to hear it and I like to read it. I mean, I'll look at the map, if it's telling you to turn left or turn right, but I'm not good with the maps. I like to read the directions and listen to the directions. So I understand that me talking to myself and hearing myself talk is what helps me manifest. So every manifestation I've ever had is because I talk to myself, whether I did a revision, because talking to myself will create mental pictures if it's necessary, but mental pictures don't always come. So like if I'm doing revision because it's something I've already experienced, well, yeah, I can see it happening in my mind and I can change it in my mind. But things that haven't happened as physically yet, like something I want to take place, I just tell myself it's already taken place, and then it happens and I don't have to visually see it.
Another thing I've done, you talk about that, I'm a creative writer. When I was young, I used to write those love poems back in the day, right? So I would take my creative writing, and once the vision would come, I would see myself at the end, but then I would turn that and I would write like a script, or I would write a poem, but it will be about the end in mind. I would write that story with me ended, and then when I would read it, I could feel myself getting lost in the story every time I read it. And that's another way I manifest, right? I just use that creative skill I already have. I write it, create it. It's at the end in mind. And then all of a sudden when the end show up, like, okay, everybody like, well, how did you get that? And I'd be like, I always say Matthew 6:33.
I know that's right. Say Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first, right? and the key is we have to learn how to just be consistent, right? So many times we get discouraged and we start trying to look for evidence, right? We want to look to the world of effect for confirmation, but the confirmation is always found in the world within. And so you have to train yourself not to look for signs and clues or proof that is coming. You have to get in that state of knowing, like you said, knowing, trusting, acceptance. Acceptance of the end wills the means to the end, right? When you accept that it's already done, it shall be done.
The compound interest. Another thing, like my kids, of course, I always say, well, how'd you learn your timetables? And they'd be like, well, by repetition. I'd be like, okay, cool. So how many times did you dream it? So my daughters, they both drive now. I got two 16-year-old, one 16-year-old, one 50-year-old driving, both of them. And,
Nice.
They was like, well, I go to sleep every night. I think I'm going to get a park up front. And I always find a park up front. I said, that park belong to you, huh? It do, because I see it in my dreams every night. They were like, oh my God, Dad, this manifestation stuff works.
Nice, nice.
So sometimes you just gotta simply put the dream on repeat.
Yep, yep. And I mean, repetition is key, but the thing is, I know some people, we listen to so many different people, right? And it's like people are grasping at straws. So like, well, let me see if this works. Let me see what this works. Let me see if this works. Let me see if this works. You want to do what resonates with you. It's not about trying to get a thing. It's about recognizing you already have it. And I know a lot of times, we hear people say that, and so that kind of gets lost in, translation. Like, what do you mean I already have the thing that I'm asking for? If I had it, then I wouldn't be asking for it. That's it. That's it. That's the key. Stop asking for it as if you're trying to make something happen. You declare what it is, you give a command, and then you allow it to be.
I always tell people, you never really think about the things that you already have.
Yep.
You just use them. And the problem is you keep asking for something, but you're not moving as if already exists in use, right? And sometimes in use doesn't have to be the big scale. Like, for an example, a lot of people may be like, well, I asked for a lot of money. I'll be like, okay, cool. What'd you do with the little bit of money that you have? But what do you mean? I'll be like, okay, did you pay yourself? Well, I paid my bills and I did this and I did that. Did you enjoy it when you paid yourself? I always make sure I pay myself first. So even, and here's the thing, for me, it started off with just, I remember one time my money was strapped and I could only pay myself $10. But I took that $10 and I enjoyed it. So then it was all of a sudden, and I was young. Now I got free entrance to the club and I'm out laughing and joking with my friends. Or now somebody turns around and buys a drink. So I was like, oh, that's a power. Now my friends would laugh like, nah, that's a power of my $10 right there. That $10 it's gonna work. It's gonna manifest. But like, you ain't spend no money. But I spent the 10 and I had so much fun with the 10. I know another 10 is gonna come. I know another 10 is going to come, and now with 10 turn to 50, and 50 turn to 100, and you be like, well, how are you doing this? I told you, $10.
I enjoyed my $10. $10. I enjoyed what I have, and that's key, right? Not complaining that you only have $10, right? You said, oh, I got $10. Let me go enjoy this $10. When most people are like, all you got is $10. What you gonna do with $10? Like, it's your perception. You want to give meaning to life, right? You made the $10 meaningful. That's what decides people's fate in life, right? Your faith is your fortune. It's your faith in what you gave meaning to. What are you giving meaning to the $10? How are you perceiving it? Are you perceiving it as not enough, or are you perceiving it as more than enough?
Now, going back to my food truck example, when I told you I was in the kitchen, I was making the small meals like for myself. And then my wife, back then, we just met, she, my girlfriend, she's like, oh boy, you can cook. And I was like, I can do a little something, something, something. I can throw down a little bit, Now, keep in mind, I got a whole chef certification, right? But so she's like, no, boy, you can really cook. She's like, why don't you cook me something? And when we go to work, because at the time we both worked at the same place, okay, I'm going to take it and I'm going to eat it at my desk in front of everybody. I was like, why are you going to do that? Just watch, right? Mm-hmm. Now, once again, it's the universe working out for me. This is right before the pandemic. So she's at work. She's eating, this is so good. And all of a sudden I know, because, I'm a manager at the job. Somebody else comes around. Hey, I seen that food you had cooked for lunch. Can you make me a plate? Can you make me a plate? Now, we can't solicit at work. Mm-hmm. So here's what I did. Now, this is because most people start looking at the resistance, not me. So I was like, can we do a company weight loss potluck? And people are just going to give me their funds, and I want to cook and bring the food in for the potluck.
There you go.
All right, now, that transitioned into, we're home, now in our house, okay? I've graduated from an apartment to the house. Mm-hmm. We're in the house. Pandemic hits, right? Mm-hmm. People start inboxing me on social media. Hey, will you cook for me? The people who remember I cook for work. Will you cook for me? This food, and I'm tired of cooking at home, and there's really nothing to eat out here. Will you cook for me? Well, yeah, sure. So now we're in our house. Once again, bigger equipment. I got a couple of deep fryers, right? We know we making it happen. My neighborhood, we stayed in the corner. So it was like a drive-through line. We had a mask on. I put my kids to work. We would take the food out in these buckets to serve people to make them feel safe. We made so much money during the pandemic. That money paid for the food truck that I drew on the paper years ago.
Yes. You know you gotta get some wine. Yes. That right there. Woo.
So most people now that manifestation took about 5 years. Most people would have been like, "Oh, when's the food truck coming? When's the restaurant coming?" I never thought, "When's the food truck coming? When's the restaurant coming?" You know why? Because the small George Foreman grill represented the big grill in the food truck. The small fryer in the kitchen represented the big fryer. Okay, one last one. I had a black food truck, green logo, Dirty V. I wanted a black pickup truck. At the time, I had a Cadillac Escalade, right? So I'm pulling this food truck around the Cadillac Escalade. And it's a big body Cadillac Escalade 3. It could pull it. I was like, you know what? I want a black truck. I want a black truck. I'm going to get a black truck. I see the black truck in my dreams. I got pictures around the house. I'm visualizing a black truck, right? So one day, the Cadillac breaks down. Same day, I cracked my cell phone. So now I'm like, man, it's a bad day. So, I know what this is. It's like birthing a child. Sometimes the pain comes before the goodness. So I'm like, ooh, something's coming. I got excited. Well, then my wife's like, you should be mad. I was like, I should be. My truck's down. My phone broke. What I'm going to do? People calling. That truck broke. I think I called my brother. Was that Wednesday or Thursday? That Friday, I went to the Dodge dealership. While I'm in a Dodge dealership, I spent 6 hours, right? We looked at 20, and it was 2023 when I brought the truck. We looked at a 2021 Dodge Ram, looked at a 2022 Dodge Ram. I love Chevys, right? GMC. We looked at a 2022 Chevy, and it was loaded. It was lift kit and everything. So, right? Then all of a sudden they came back and said, "No, Mr. Richardson, we got a better deal for you." Because I was like, no, y'all gonna find the best deal for me. I'm not paying no high interest rate. I'm not doing this and not doing that. We got another truck. It has 6 miles on it. It's all black, 2023, but it's on the lot and it's brand new. And the bank's gonna get better finance because it's brand new. That's okay. Take me to the truck.
Right.
It's the truck that I had posted on my wall.
Wow. All right.
I'm telling you, I'm sorry. You like, the sister from another mother, right? Every time I see you, I'm always, hey family, how y'all doing? Sometimes get up and talk. I just like sharing some of these stories sometimes because I want to let people know it's real, it works. Even the way I manifested this new house, and I've shared this story with you guys before, it I get goosebumps. And whenever I get goosebumps, it's like I'm a 5-year-old kid getting excited for Christmas, opening a new gift. Because I know that when the vision hits, it's so exciting. I won't go into the story about the house, but I will say this. When I told my wife, hey, baby, I had a vision about the new house, she's like, you did? I was like, yeah. I come back the next day, she on the phone with the realtor. Baby, I got the realtor on the phone. And, this is what she's saying, and we can move. And I was like, well, we ain't really sit down and have a discussion like this. He said, yes, we did. Didn't you say that you got another vision? Because I know how your visions work. I've seen it happen too many times, and I want this house.
I know that's right. Say, don't play with me. I already know how this go.
I already know how this.
I already know how this go.
I know how this go. And we can't move into a smaller house. I was like, well, baby, the house we in right now is 2,700, almost 3,000 square feet. She says, nah, you had a vision. And you said it had high ceilings in it too that could fit my Christmas tree. And anybody knows, you can check out my video. You'll see what I'm talking about, the high Christmas trees. It's there. So, I got to give this. So I don't like Christmas. She loves it.
Okay.
What I did was, before I would go to sleep, I used her love for Christmas my dislike for Christmas, and I would go to sleep every night once I saw the house, and I would envision her high Christmas tree and how that would make her, appreciate the house, and then what it would do for me looking at those trees. Anyways, you guys, we went from having 5 Christmas trees in our home to I think 9 Christmas trees in our new house, and we are at 4,700 square feet, $500,000 home. So and I come from the hood. Income. My brother's sitting here right now. He's my witness. Income-based apartments growing up, right, to where I'm at now. And once I started getting into this manifestation thing, man, let me tell you something. Just tap in. Just tap in a little.
That's a love.
Just a little. Oh, and one last thing about the truck. When I was driving the Cadillac, anytime I was pulling the Cadillac with the food truck behind, I wasn't driving the Cadillac. I was driving a pickup truck. In my mind, I was driving a pickup truck. I saw the pickup emblem as I was driving the pickup truck. Anyways, hopefully I've helped some people.
You definitely have. Amen. You definitely have. Oh my goodness, this is another awesome. So, I've been playing around with my lives or whatever, right? Because I had to do a little bit of shifting with my manifesting of my lives. So I had to, I wanted to get more focused on manifesting as opposed to how to, right? Get more into people sharing the application of the law as opposed to how to apply the law, right? Really wanted to hear people talk about, I actually know this works. And so that shift took some time to get here, because for a long time it was, well, how do I get it? How do I get it? Can you do this? Can you do that? Do you do one-on-ones? And I'm like, I don't want to do one-on-ones. I don't like, that's not my calling. My calling is just to create a platform for us to come together and for us to uplift and inspire one another. And so for me to shift, I went into the Christianity space, right? So I went into that deconstructing Christianity. Did that just for a couple of weeks, just to shift the algorithm. And then I was like, okay, that was cool. Had fun with that. Had the Christian congregation coming through, telling you how you need to, convert and be a Christian and all that stuff, right? And so now I'm like, really, what I like the upliftment of people coming on, sharing their stories, because I know it's going to encourage and inspire somebody else to believe and apply this law. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Telling people that they don't need to go look for anybody else, that the answer is within them, right? And all it takes is for you to have trust and faith to apply it for yourself. Yes, there's so much information out there, right? And some people are just want the money grab. They're not doing it because they really want to see people be successful. They're looking to be placed on pedestal and to be said, oh, look at me, I'm a great manifestor. I manifested for this person. I manifested for that person. We're all still kind of have that savior complex. Like we want somebody else to do the work for us. And I'm more about, no, do the work for yourself so you know that the power is within you and not in another.
That's right. Length, angle, and width that governs the land, air, and water. All is simply a reflection of the belief I have in myself. And I am a universal lawyer, and the law belongs to me.
Woo! Hey, okay, say that again.
Length, angle, and width that governs the land, air, and water. All things are a reflection of me. I am the law, a universal lawyer.
Woo. Woo. You are the power. In layman's terms, right? You are what you've been looking for. You are the answer. You don't need to seek any other answers outside of self. You just got to learn how to be still. Get still, right? Get still. Go within. Trust that inner being. Learn how to be led by the Spirit. For he that is led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God, right? Those who are led by the Spirit, by the inner being, by the I am, that's who the it is those who know that they are God, because we're all God, but everybody don't know it. And you know it when you choose to be led by the Spirit, by the I am, by the inner being, by the inner knowing, by
That's right.
trusting the I am.
The generator, operator, and destroyer. I
That part.
am that I am. Once I realized I was God's son and he is I am him, I was like, well, what level am I on? If I'm on level 1, if I had a son and he gets an age and then he grows on level 2 and grows, well, spiritually, if I'm on a 1, and I can grow to a 2, I can grow to a 3, I can grow to a 4. But watch out now, don't let me get to 7, 8, 9, and 10, because now you got something on your hands. You know?
Oh my goodness. You drop some gems. Like, you let us know, even though when it appears to things to be going awry, right? The breakdown of the truck, the breaking of the phone, right? You're like, hold up, wait a minute. Hey, there's birth pains sometimes when delivering a child, when the baby's about to come forth. Let me give these experiences a different perspective, right? A different meaning. Before I get mad, let me step back and let's really see the handiworks of God, right? That something is about to take place. There's a baby being birthed. Man.
Come on now. I always tell people, the only thing, I'm a good steward of my health, I'm a good steward of my money, I'm a good steward of my relationship, and I'm a good steward of how I have fun. It's stewardship.
Stewardship.
Once the vision comes,
say, watch out now.
That's Christmas time. Christmas can be any day of the week for me. You hear me?
Any day of the week.
It's come.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, I don't get visions, but hey, I know that all I gotta speak it and it's so. And like you said, you can't get caught up on the how and the when, right? And too many people get stuck on the when because you hear too many people telling you, oh, you can manifest in 24 hours, instant manifestation, instant this. I'm just like, y'all in these microwavable manifestations. Yes, some things do come in an instant, but then other things take time and growth and unfoldment. And you got to be okay with that.
Got to be okay. They always say fall in love with the journey, right?
Fall in love with the journey. Just fall in love with the desire. When you fall in love with the desire, right? People don't love what they want enough. Because do you really want it? Because do you love it? Are you happy about it? And it's more than just a happy because you know you're about to get something. You're really happy because you know the power in you is working. The stuff is just the cherry on top, right? The things is just the cherry on top. It's understanding who you are and knowing that you're the power.
When I moved into the new home, I was like, I'm going to close down the food business, right? And I'm going to, I used to do life coaching. And I was like you, I didn't want to do no more one-on-one clients. So I don't want to, I want to talk to group. And I was like, what group do I want to talk to? I want to talk to kids. When is it coming? I don't know when it's coming. But I'm just going to develop these programs for these kids. And I'm going to indirectly teach some of them, law of attraction. Right? Mm-hmm. So I created this financial program called Flipcoin, just the basics of finances or how to get a job or, just little small nuggets. Create this program. And just here recently in South Carolina, I'm being invited to speak to a group of kids during Business Week at the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce that's coming up this summer. So that's what I manifested just now, girl. Wow!
So when I say loving the desire, let's just take D. Rich's last manifestation, right? I'm sure he's loving the fact, before the opportunity even came, loving the fact of teaching children this truth, right? You already was in love with it before it even manifested, right? You already saw in your mind what that looked like, the joy you were going to get from doing it, to see the children's faces light up as you tell this, and they come back and telling you, yes, Mr. Rich, yes, this work. Oh my goodness, I saw myself doing this, or I saw myself being recruited with this team, or I saw this happening, or I wanted to be an engineer, whatever. I want to be in the STEM. I want, because with young people, sky's the limit. Opportunities are at any age, but you know what I mean. With children, like they're gonna come to you about their, next whatever their next level into a college or high school is, right? And so you were loving that before the manifestation ever took place, right?
Come on now. I could tell you about times when I would do coaching because I would do speaking engagements. And
Okay.
sometimes I would show up and it'd be like 2 or 3 people in the crowd. But I teach like there was hundreds. You just gotta live.
As though, right. So when I did the video, I did a video, or I did a video that I uploaded to YouTube, and I was like finding what it is that you want to do and falling in love with it. So I gave the example of being a baker, right? You got the best chocolate chip cookies ever, right? It's not a drudgery to go and make these cookies, because why? You enjoy being a baker, and you know that these cookies are the best tasting cookies ever. Your cookies are world renowned. Like you probably made this batch of cookie 10,000 times, and it isn't going to trouble you to make it a million more times. Why? Because you love it. You love the joy of people telling you how amazing these cookies are, how they just melt in your mouth. Like, right? Like you love doing it. It's not a chore. That's what I mean by loving the desire to be a baker, like Michael Jordan. So I think of people that are very successful and that you try to gain inspiration from. So like I was a big Michael Jordan fan, right? And so when his documentary came out, The Last Dance, and understanding his mindset and how he said he loved the game. He had in his contract that he could play basketball whenever he wanted to, and it was called the love of the game. That was the little thing, extra thing he's had in his contract, that the Bulls could not keep him from playing basketball off season, that he had a love of the game inserted into his contract. He loved it so much. So it wasn't a chore for him to get up and practice 4 o'clock in the morning, then 10 o'clock in the morning, and then 6 o'clock at night, because he loved it.
Now, I love that you said that. Now, one thing I would do for my clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you love it. Okay, that's the area that you're strong in. So we would do like this personality assessment. But like, what are you looking for? But like, okay, well, everybody has certain thinking patterns. You'll come to find out the universe is in patterns. And everybody think it's a secret, but it's not a secret. But it's patterns. And but those patterns reveal strengths and weaknesses. Now, this is where the good stewardship come in. I'm maybe good at speaking, talking. My wife is great at grammar. So if I write a speech, right, I'm strong at doing the creative writing. You know what she's strong at? Organizing the editing. So you know what I do? I leverage my partner. You can only get better by 1 of 3 ways. Either you get better at doing it, you partner with somebody else that can do it, or you hire somebody. Most people want to be the all, and then they want to work in the areas that they're weak in, but all of a sudden that's when the frustration hits. That's when the doubt hits. Well, I don't got no time for that. If I know I have somebody on my team that's better at organizing than I am, now I'm good at organizing. She's great. Guess what? I'm going to let her organize this for me because she's great at that. I'm going to seek out counsel. So sometimes you got to do that personal assessment of yourself and say, I'm great at making cookies, but I'm not good at keeping these books.
Yep.
Either I need an accountant or I need to download QuickBooks.
Yep.
Come on now.
Like Michael Jordan hired a trainer, right? He wasn't training by himself. He had his trainer throughout. And I think the guy trained other people too. Maybe Kobe Bryant, I don't know. But, his trainer was with him for the duration of his career, right? He wasn't just out there freelancing training. He knew that he had to get a professional, somebody understood lifting weights and gaining strength and agility and all of that, right? So he sought help. Even the dynamic Michael Jordan still needed help in perfecting his skill.
That's right. So I tell people sometimes being a good steward is being a good manager, is not being a good doer. I may need to outsource the thing that may cause me pain. That means I don't take a turn of blind eye to it. If I hire an accountant, right, if somebody else doing my taxes, it doesn't mean I don't go back over it and make sure it's correct and right, because I want to make sure I'm not getting robbed. But
Right.
I know I'm good at a thing. I'm going
Mm.
to do that thing. I know I have issues with another area. Either A, I can get educated and train myself, or B, I can hire or partner with somebody that's passionate in that area, and I can use that energy that they have for that passion to allow my dream to continue to multiply.
Right. And your inner being, the higher self, is going to draw in the right person.
Come on
Right?
now.
The right person is going to come into your experience and it's going to be a perfect match.
Didn't we say Matthew 6:33 just now? And all
All
things.
things shall be added unto you. All
Most people,
things. That's why it's important to what? Seek ye first. Seek ye first the kingdom. Where's the kingdom? Found within. That's where your talent is within you. Your desires, your passions. Fall in love with the passion. Fall in love with the desire. Fall in love with it. Be it. Embody it. Love it. Because when you love it, then you don't have to make excuses for doing it. Because it comes natural to you. It's not a chore. If it's a chore, if you're trying to force it, then you have to question, do you love it? Because it should not be a force. It should be effortless.
that's right.
It should be effortless.
And
So if
that's what
you're forcing your it's no force to come on live and talk about this. I don't have to talk myself into doing it. I don't have to convince myself to do it. It's effortless to make videos. Now I got AI and they come up with different videos for me. Or, I don't try to find wrongness especially in any technology, right? Everything has its proper place. As long as you know that you're not putting anything above the I am. You don't have anything to worry about. You
come
have
on
nothing to
now.
worry about if you put everything in its proper place, in its proper perspective.
I'm 100% like, my chat GPT. I named it the way I talk to it, and everybody like, oh, they're taking the information. No, I programmed my chat to talk and respond to me. The things that I have created. Oh man, I created a children book series called Thoughtlander.
Oh wow, nice.
And how
I
these.
haven't used Chat GPT that. I don't talk to it. I just use whatever's on CapCut to create my little videos for YouTube and TikTok. But I haven't downloaded one of those where you can communicate with. I see people doing it on TikTok. They're asking, and they have it curated to talk in a certain type of vernacular, right? So some of them African American AAVE, some people, it depends on, because you can again program it to whatever you want it to say, right? Have it
Not
do
only do
whatever.
I have Thoughtlander for kids, I got this thing that I was working on. It's called Folk Verse, and hashtag woke folk. It is a social media skit series I created for animation cartoon, and it's this journey of four different people from four different backgrounds manifesting. So you had the conscious person, you had the person who came up in Christianity, you had the person who does the affirmations and numerology, and then you got the person who does the music. But you have their everyday life, and then you have the dream world, virtual reality world. They plug in, but in the virtual reality world, they're doing shadow work without recognizing they're doing shadow work. And I wrote it in like a comedy, so that way you see people go on these manifestation journeys from different areas of background, all ending up in the same place and recognizing, you know what? I am that I am. And the person that I've been running from has always been me. And how do I know this? Because behind every closed door, once that door opened, I have only found me.
Ooh, ooh! Like I said, all roads lead to manifest. All roads lead to awakening.
That's
Everyone
it.
eventually awakens, right?
Yeah, and in
All
their own
roads lead.
time.
Yep, in their own time.
And here's the thing: I tell people, you manifesting all the time. It's just
Yep.
that you allowing yourself to be programmed either by something else through your escape mechanisms or through the education system. But go on a journey. 21 days creates a habit, is what they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spend 21 days interacting with your subconscious mind and give it a new program. And then let those 21 days stack on top of each other. The next 21. And then forget about it. I promise you, miracles gonna come.
And you ain't nothing to it but to do it. No
Nothing
more
to it.
excuses. What do you have to lose? If life hasn't been what you've been wanting, what do you have to lose, right? You have all to gain. What you're going to lose is that limiting mindset. That's what you're going to lose. The doubt and the fear. That's what you're going to let go of, and you're going to learn how to trust yourself and really start to experience life as it was intended. You came to have what? Life, and that more abundantly. You
Come on
came
now.
that your joy may be full.
And some people, sometimes what blocks them is they can't let go of, the blame, especially when we talk about like childhood trauma, their parents and things like that. I'm like, well, you manifested your parent. You
That's our
manifest
appeal for people. Like I didn't mean, especially, yeah. That's a lot
like
of
all the
people.
people
A lot
like
of people
that.
turn away from that. They're like, I didn't manifest that. That's a bridge too far.
Look, like I didn't have the easiest life growing up, right? So I talk about how I thought I was forgiving my mother, but I recognized I really was forgiving myself.
That's it.
I blamed her in my early years of my life for the hardships, the pain, and why this and why that. And one day I woke up and was like, yo, she's just a reflection of me. But if I didn't have some of these lessons along the way, would the desire burn as deep that it burns now?
Mm. Oh,
I needed that yesterday's pain for today's glory, because that lit a flame in that desire. And I ended up finding the law. Now I don't know what my life would have took me if I was brought up with something different, right? 'Cause, like I tell, I'm well studied, deep in the metaphysics, spirituality. It's probably not, certain topics. I could probably talk about all of them, but there's nothing like the law. When I found out all roads lead to the law, I stopped reading books and I started applying. I stopped putting blame on my past. I stopped trying to blame my mom. I stopped trying to be upset at my father. I was like, yo, I'm really only upset with myself and how I responded to those situations. Can I forgive myself and move forward? Well, David, you know what? You're built for this. What makes you built for it? And I just went through this list of all these trials and tribulations that I overcome. Well, now that I know I'm built for this, then I know I'm built for manifestation. So let me try something small. And I know I shared this book before. It's not Neville, but a book that helped me out was E Squared by Pamela Grott. I think that's her name. And she had like these 9 little small experiments, right? And I would do them. And I know some people seen the hangers online. She had that, when you say something to the hangers, whether it open up or if it closed. And I would do those experiences. Oh my God, this stuff is working. I thought about the color red and I can't stop seeing red cars. I thought about the number, 777. I can't stop seeing 77. Well, what else can I do? And then I was like, oh, how can I turn this into working for me? Right? And I was like, well, if I don't believe in the big thing, can I do the small thing? And then that's when I start incorporating the habit. While I'm doing the small thing, I'm envisioning myself doing the big thing. Now, for me, like I said, I'm audio visual, so I can use pictures, right? And I can also use audio. I create a write. But sometimes for you, you have to find out what is that thing for you. Like you said, you're not a vision, right? You speak it and like you know it, and then you move. That's your thing. Tap into your thing, and then let that small thing turn into the big thing. Just like compound interest does with money. And if money is a reflection of energy, then if money can compound, guess what else can compound? Manifestations.
yes.
We'll let it compound in.
Man, you just dropped some gems. That's it. While you're doing the small thing, imagine that you're doing the big thing. So, case in point, right? You're doing the small thing on the George Foreman, but you're imagining having the kitchen. You know
Yes.
that's how you. I'm doing this here, but I'm using the George Foreman, but actually in my mind, in reality, because right,
Come
your
on now.
consciousness is the only reality, right?
That's right. That's
So the
right.
third dimension is the illusion. So while you're playing with the George Foreman, you're actually cooking in the big kitchen.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
When I'm doing the small thing, the big thing is in my mind. When I was
Yeah.
driving the Cadillac,
Like,
I was in the big truck. When
yes.
I was in the apartment, I was in the big house.
Yes. Yep. You got to go there in imagination because let's say, I will go to prepare a place for you. And
Come
if
on
I
now.
go to prepare a place for you, I will come and receive you unto myself. Because where I am, there you shall be also. You was in the truck that you wanted, and you went there first in your imagination, and then the body had to follow.
Come on. The first apartment, first floor, no upstairs. Second apartment, upstairs. House, upstairs. House I'm in now, 3 flights of stairs.
Mm, yes. Woo. And I love also, I hope everybody caught that you stop reading and you start applying. And then you proved it to yourself by doing the little things first. And the little things gave you faith in the bigger things.
That's right. Because I recognize, now this is my coaching background, so I apologize. But
Mm,
we talk about 4 personality types, right?
mm-hmm.
And for me, now let me back up. I use the 7 universal laws. Like these laws are in everything, and this is the sum of the law of attraction, right? These 7 laws combined together equals the law of attraction. Let me go on this journey of finding the laws. So that's what eased my spirit with religion. Then so I saw these laws, and I was losing weight at the time, and I came across a thing called the 4 body types. I was like, well, there's 4 body types, and there's 4 personality types. Are these things connected? Oh wow, they are. And these 7 laws connect to the 7 energy centers inside the body, which connect to the 7 endocrine system inside the body, which connects to the nervous system. So I'm like, okay, then cool. And then that connects to the 7 musical notes. I'm like, okay, cool. So as I'm going on this journey, I recognize you have the 4 questions: who, what, why, how. When and where is just time and location, right? The who, what, why, how. So one personality type typically focus on who, right? One personality type typically focus on what. One personality type typically focus on why, and one personality type typically focus on how. So okay, let me back up here. Then I start analyzing people who are going through the awakening process, and some people will go through African spirituality. Some people will get into universal laws. Some people will get into yin and yang, and they grab into these different concepts: the zodiac, astrology, astronomy. Well, all of them are pointing to the same thing: the law. So I was like, what happens? Why are some of these people feeling like they're stuck? Well, what sent you to the law? For most people, what sent them there was pain. Because they were going on a journey of why me? And then they would get into the spirituality and they would get stuck in why me? And if I'm stuck in why, guess what I'm not doing? Applying.
Wow.
So I don't have to seek knowledge that is already me. Once I recognize that, like I said, behind every closed door, I only found myself. Because if I am the law and I know this law exists within me, and then all these things are a reflection of the law, then why do I got to keep studying the law? Let me learn how to apply the law. I recognize that most people, including myself, I went through a journey of being stuck in why. And I could tell you why and give all the diagnosis and all these things. And I could look at you and your body type, and I'd be like, oh, this is what you're experiencing. These are dominant thought patterns. I'd be like, what is this doing for people? So now when people call me, they'll be like, what you on? The law.
The law.
You want that? And they'll be like, well, can you explain this? Yeah, I can explain it. But now let's get into the law.
The law.
They're like, can we talk about, health? Yeah. Then we get to the law. Can we talk about money? Yeah. Then we get into the law. They be like, why do you keep talking about the law? Because that is it, and it is you. I need you to get into faith, as small as a mustard seed, and then watch the big tree sprout from that.
Yes, because the acorn is the oak tree.
That's right.
So you got to understand that you are wealth. You are health. You are all that you desire. It's just about acceptance, right? And so now doing the little things that helps you see yourself as being that already. And like you said, for everyone, it may be different. You, the visual audio, somebody else. Well, you also are right. So you kind of, you gave testimony to using almost everything. Vision board, because you put posted pics around your house. Then you talked about writing things down, and then you talked about visualizing and hearing it. So it sounds like you implement all of it. There's nothing that you want that's hands off for you.
Because what happens is I recognize it. You'll get burnt out because like, oh, it ain't showed up yet. Okay, cool. Let me switch to where I initiate. I may start off with the vision, then if the vision starting to get burnt out and I feel anxiety, I let the vision go, and I let it go for a little while. But okay, let me write it. Let me fall back in love with it again. And I may pick it up and then I let it go again. See, the letting go part. Here's the thing. When you have the acorn in your hand, do you see the acorn of the oak tree? Some people can only see the acorn. I see the oak tree. Now,
You
some
see the
people
butterfly and not the caterpillar.
That's right. Sometimes you plant a seed, you need air, need water, need sun, right? So if I know it needs these elements, sometimes I may need to see it in my mind. Sometimes I may need to write it. Sometimes I may need to speak it. Sometimes it needs to come in my voice. Sometimes I need to let it come in another voice. Sometimes when some random post come on social media, like, oh, that aligned with what was going on. That's what's for me. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So Voice Bill say, can you please expand on how we are it already? That one hasn't landed past conceptual for me. Well, it's just like the examples that D Rich, like with me saying that, I'm spreading this truth to millions, right? Right now to you, it may appear like I'm not touching millions, but how many people have come through my lives? And even though you can't see the millions I'm touching, everybody that comes through this live is sharing it with somebody else. And that somebody sharing it with somebody else. And so I am literally touching millions, even though you can't see it. Because I don't know how many people you're talking to after you have listened to me, and how many people you shared and you've expressed this knowledge to. So that's what it means that you are already that, right? When Rich was giving the examples of being and using the George Foreman, but knowing that he was a chef and that he would have the kitchen, and how the manifestation of the food truck came into being, and how he was driving one car but saw himself driving another. See, we can't look at appearances for confirmation. The confirmation is always within, not without. But had he said, I'm driving I'm driving the truck, and they're like, no, you're not, you're driving a Cadillac. What you mean you're driving He's like, no, I'm driving the truck. I have a truck. I'm not driving this Cadillac. No, what you talking about? I don't see no truck. I only see a Cadillac. So he I don't even know if he shared it with anyone, maybe other than his wife, that he wasn't driving a Cadillac, but that he was driving the truck. So he already had the truck, even though it wasn't physically there. He was driving it. Because you have to understand that in your mind is the only reality. Your imagination, your consciousness is the only reality. The outer world is the illusion. The inner world is the reality.
I can remember, my Facebook days. Now, the height of my life coach, and let me say this, I had clients all over the world, and it started from, like, I was young dude in South Carolina, first the big state of Texas, then somebody from New York, then somebody from Cali, then with somebody from Italy, dealing with another person from Africa, and then somebody from England. I'm like, how are these people finding me? Now, when I go down my timeline on my posts, 50 likes, I think maybe sometime I get 100 likes, things like that, right? And but with the minimal likes, sometimes people will stop me. It's like, man, I seen your post and your post carried me through the day. You don't know who you're touching and when you're touching them, right? Because a lot of people online are watchers. They're not interactors, right? So you could be touching millions all at one time. Now for me, going back to answer the question, this is just me. Everybody's a little different, right? So when I learned the 7 universal laws, this is me, 7 hermetic principles. That's my thing, right? That's how I ended up finding Neville. It was Raymond Hollywell, working with the law that led me to Neville. But at that time, you got the 7 universal laws: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, right? Then I was like, think it, see it, speak it, feel it, will it, do it, create it. Okay, cool. That's a manifestation part. Oh, wow. That's just building the habit. Now, this is just me logically thinking this through before I let go of the logic.
Okay.
Then, at the same time, I like coaching. Like I said, I saw things connecting. I was helping people with, budgets. I was helping people losing weight. But then when I saw the 7 universal laws, this law corresponds with the pineal gland. This law corresponds with the pituitary gland. This law corresponds with the thymus gland that sits over the top of the heart. Oh, now I'm mind blown because now I see the 7 universal laws within me. And if it's within me, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's within me, then I know that all things belong to me.
Woo! That was powerful right there. All things belong to me. Can y'all say that? Y'all need to put that in the chat. All things belong to me. that needs to be, you need to go to sleep. That needs to be your mantra tonight. If all things are within me, then all things belong to me. All things are within me, then all things belong to me. All right. Rich just dropping some gems. Yes. All things.
But like I said, for me, that was a thing that really opened my eyes. I started really putting the law of correspondence to use. As above, so below, as within, so without. And then that became on repeat. I just started seeing, it's everything, it's everywhere. Then I started thinking about the functionality of the body. How does the stomach work? How does, this once again, this is me helping people doing health, right? Mm-hmm. So the stomach, when you eat a certain food, right, it's going to release certain things at a certain temperature to break that food down. Then you have this thing called food combination, where they say you're not supposed to mix certain food because that messes up, the temperature and the things that's released in order to break the food down. That's why sometimes food can sit in the body longer than others. So what else works like that? The washing machine. Oh, hold on. Once I started, it was life changing for me. I was like, hold on now. Once I started seeing how these things worked inside me, and I started seeing the reflections of everything that exists, TV works exactly like your eyeballs. I started making these connections. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I just got to live in the end of mind. It's here. And then sometimes, like when you order a package, you don't think about it. Because, like I said, once you have it in your possession, you don't think, after you get past the honeymoon phase of having something new, you just use it. So I was like, well, how can I get in that use it phase of the thing I don't have? Well, the way I can get in that user phase, sorry if I sound like on repeat, this compound interest, when I'm doing the small thing, I have the big thing.
Ooh. Oh, so whatever you're desiring, right? You want a bigger house, but you're in an apartment or you're in a smaller house. You're in the version of the thing that you want. It's just what the micro versus the macro, right? Right
Today.
now you're experiencing the micro because why? You already have the macro. That's how you have to look at it. The
That's right.
thing that you're experiencing now is a reflection of what you're going to experience. Like, see it as a now thing, though, not going to. Don't see it as a future thing. See it as a now thing. But you're experiencing it now. You're saying you're experiencing the small because you have the big.
Because the big is the small on repeat, is it not? You just talked about micro and macro.
Yeah.
So if I study the macro, I already studied the mac. Right? Okay, cool. So let me deal with the small thing. So like even when we talk about money, right? You know, I've had my fair share of ups and downs with money, but what I do is, like I said, I pay myself, and I call that's my abundance pool. So let me appreciate the $10.
Yes. So Voice Bills wants you to use that outlook in partnership, in a relationship.
Okay, cool. So, relationship. Talk about me and my wife. Every relationship has its fair share, ups and downs, like we said before, growth, right? You have relationship periods. But for me, what I recognize is that I was attracting me back in relationships. So, like, what are you talking about? So, I'm going to go back to attachment theory, right? Most of the time, if I'm quote unquote anxious, an anxious attachment style on the outside, I tend to find a partner who's an avoidant. And be like, well, we're different. But like, are you? Because if you really ask each other about your childhood trauma, you'll find out maybe both of you guys experienced neglect or an abandonment. But the thing is, you expressed it two different ways. Now, let's take it off relationships, for example, because I want to drive this point home, because what's the same that appears opposite is really the same. Well, when all children are created, they start off as girls first, and then physically, I don't know if we can say that on live, but certain things drop, and it transitions into a boy, right? So we start off the same, but then the outside looks different. So for me, like, and my wife, we before we got married, I can remember. It's like, what made you marry me? I said, you would think it was the support, the helping me with the food business. You would think it was that. It's because you were willing to do the internal work as I was doing the internal work, and most people wouldn't, because they want to blame outside themselves. And I realized you were just a reflection of me. And because I was doing the internal work and you was willing to do the internal work, and what helped her get into the internal work, she was going through this weight loss journey, getting in shape, and she had this book, and it started attaching, the things that you eat to emotions. She's like, hey, this is stuff you be talking about. And that became a center conversation piece for us to be able to grow past the emotions and grow into knowing.
Yes.
So small. We start off small. Now we big.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Voice Bills, did that help you? Because I know you weren't in here when she was talking about her relationship with her mate, and how she wants to restore that relationship because it became something that she was in fear of manifesting, but it manifested. And, she's manifesting, restoring that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, even that, right? You can only attract the confidence that you have in yourself. So maybe when I talk about her, I talk about a common one. Like, we all hear about narcissist and people pleaser, right? They be like, well, they're two opposites. To me, I see them the same. And we're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean they're the same? They're not the same. So yes, it is. Just both use different elements of control. You would never think that a people pleaser was trying to control the situation. But aren't they trying to control the situation through pleasing?
Yep.
And the other person trying to control the situation through manipulating? So how do you grow? Let go of the control.
Yep. Yep.
And then you can grow and gain confidence. And let's say your partner don't. I'd be like, all right, well, you leave. Because two energies can't stay together that don't vibrate similarly.
Yep. Mm. Mm. So I always think this about 2 a.m. the controlling one. Yep. We all controlled on some level.
That's right.
Right. That's why it's difficult for a lot of us to manifest our desire, because we want to control the how. We want to control in which way it's supposed to come, how it's supposed to come, where it's supposed to come from. That's why a lot of us can't manifest our desires, because we're too focused on how it's supposed to happen.
The spirit knows and the ego feels. And the ego's job is, quote unquote, to protect, right? So the ego is going to use some emotion. And if you know, like, you're going to manifest either or. You're going to manifest both. People think, well, I attract on my fears. Like, was that your dominant thought?
Yep. And when I say difficult to manifest, I mean manifest the desired outcome, because we're always manifesting. There is no how do you manifest. Manifestation is an automatic expression of your dominant thought.
That's
So
right.
when I say how or you're not manifesting, I'm not saying you're not manifesting. I'm saying you're not manifesting the thing you desire to manifest, because you're always manifesting.
And I'm 100% in agreement with you, but I was saying that to say sometimes when you're not attracting what you want, for me, I'll just use me, right? I don't like to project me. I would step back and say, is that my spirit that knows, or is that my ego that's feeling? And if an answer comes back with ego, I'll be like, well, if the ego's here, there's a fear somewhere in this seed. Comes back with ego, I'll be like, well, if the ego's here, there's a fear somewhere in this seed. Even if I have a smile on my face today, there's a fear that's there. What am I scared of?
Yep.
And that's what tends to show in relationships, because relationships is the ultimate mirror. Because now I'm going to trigger that fear. Somebody's scared to be left. So once again, going back to anxious, now I'm overly pleasing because I don't want this person to leave me. The other person, somebody's scared to be left and neglected. Well, I'm going to back up first, and I'm going to leave you first, and I'm going to withdraw first so I can protect myself. In both instances, the ego is trying to protect itself. For me and my wife, it was like, can we lay the cards down on the table? Girl, what are you scared of? Because here's what I'm scared of. Now, we can either be teammates and complement and partnership, or we can continue to trigger each other's fears and, end up broken up. Or we can grow together and realize it's us against these fears, right? And then we can manifest the life we wanted. We just decided to grow together.
Yep. Same here. Had to tell, not necessarily, I don't know, my husband didn't. I didn't come from that standpoint, because I guess that's a great enlightenment, what you just said, that he's mirroring me, because I was just seeing it as, a my issue, not a our issue. So I was looking at, it's my fears I'm projecting onto him, but I didn't take it as, well, he's also my mirror. So if I got fears, so does he, because he's me. That's oh, thank you for that. That's an epiphany right there. That was an epiphany, because yes, I was talking about my fears, but we didn't deal with, well, he gotta also have some fears too, because we mirror one another.
That's right.
Wow.
And
but now you think of it, I can almost say what his fears are, because he's actually mentioned them before. But when I've talked about the things that maybe have been problematic in the marriage, I talked about more from my own personal things I was dealing with, as opposed to what he also may have been dealing with.
And the reason why we typically focus on the things that we're dealing with, because once again, this is the thing I'm trying to protect. And I need you to hear me. I need you to step up. I need you to be this for me. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then the other person, sometimes they vocalize it, sometimes they don't, but they're also dealing with it. Now, what happens is That's the fear is the effect. What's the cause?
Yep.
And then once you start realizing that your cause is coming from the same place, like I said, neglect, abandonment, all those are, regular terms. But once you find out what that caused, now you're just saying, well, he's responding in heads and I'm responding in tails. We're responding to the same pain. Well, the pain is the problem.
Yeah.
How do we face the pain together?
Yeah.
Well, baby, when we talk and we have a disagreement, I want to hear you, but I can't hear you in a moment. Can you give me 15 minutes? Can you give me an hour? Now can we sit down, and have this discussion? Okay, now that we have this discussion, I know you will process your emotions fast. You're quick with your words, but I process my emotions slow because I'm trying to find a way to articulate myself. So now we could have grounds levels of communication. Now, can we put in forth an action plan? Who's the best at this? Who's going to take the lead and who's going to support? And if neither one of us is good at this, do we outsource this and hire somebody else?
That's awesome. Yep. Because you got to stop seeing your partner as an enemy or a foe, or that they're doing it, right? That they're the cause, when the cause is mental.
That's
The
right.
cause isn't anything that they're doing. The doing is a reflection of what's going on inwardly.
That's right.
And so, yeah, with too many times we make our partners be our enemies or being something that's in opposition to us, when actually they're just a mirror reflecting us.
Come on now. And if I look in the mirror, it looks the same, but really it's the opposite. Can I take you guys one step forward? This is the coach now. There's the coach in me, okay? So if I'm anxious on the outside, guess what I'm on the inside? Avoid it. You'll be like, well, how? Because I'm avoiding myself. And if I'm avoided on the outside to my partner, guess what I'm on the inside? I'm anxious. Anxious to what? That things are not going to go the way that I want. So that's how the reflection. So if I'm anxious on the inside, and I meet a partner that's anxious on the outside, but on the outside I'm avoidant, and be like, oh, we're different. No, buddy. This is your physical manifestation.
Well, they say it's paradoxical, right?
That's right.
You're one and the same.
This is your physical manifestation of your inner self.
Yep. Oh my goodness. This has been awesome. Oh my goodness. This is big. You coaching me right now. But you're my mirror, as I say. We're all one another's beautiful reflections, right?
Look, man, you my mirror, because one day I'm gonna be on live all the time talking. I don't know when that day gonna come. Sometimes because I be on social media, but I don't be on social media because I took a break away from it all. But people like you.
Oh yeah, I don't come on this often. I come on twice a week. We come do Wednesdays. We're doing uplifting Wednesdays. We're only talking about success stories. We're only talking about uplifting one another. And then we have Sunday where we do the book club meeting. So we're reading Dr. Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind. So I drew back a whole lot. I'm like, yeah, because I like you said, doing the small because of the big, right? So I'm like, well, the life I see myself having, would I be on TikTok live for 3, 4, 5 hours a day? No, I wouldn't. No, I'll be out actually living prosperously, not talking about living prosperously. No, I actually would be out and about experiencing the world I created, not talking about it.
Once again, like I said, my brother's in the background. He always be at me. He'd be like, yo, you don't know how many jewels sometimes you be dropping when you talk. Just let me record you. Just let me ask you a bunch of questions and let people tap in. And I'd be like, seriously? Because at this point, I've seen the reflection in the mirror. I'm going to use what my wife says. My wife, because she learns a lot of stuff along the way. She's like, you know what? I'm okay with the fact that I'm a little bit, clingy towards you. I wasn't like this in previous relationship, but I'm okay. And you love me for it. And I'd be like, I do, baby.
Yes.
You got to be okay with what your perfections are.
Yep.
Right? And then what your imperfections are. But the imperfections, don't let that be the block. That's the area that you have to manage. And then you say to yourself, Do I want to take time out to get better at this? Or do I want to leverage my partner, let my partner lead in this? Or do I want to outsource and hire somebody to do it? But guess what I ain't going to do? I ain't going to have no sleepless nights sitting up worrying about this thing when there's somebody that's outside of me who's good at it, who can help me. I'm allowed to help in because guess what they are? A reflection of me. So if I'm great in the area I'm great in, and I let the reflection of me be great in the area they great
It's
in.
only a problem if you say it is.
Come on now.
It ain't no problem unless you make it one. It ain't no problem then, like I'm allowing myself to see we are not imperfect beings. We are perfect beings having a human experience. So with that human experience come all those emotions, all of those experiences, all of those quote unquote missteps or sins. That's part of the human experience. But who we are perfect beings having a finite limited experience. But there's nothing wrong with anyone. You are uniquely, divinely, wonderfully, and beautifully made, and marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knows quite well.
Come on now.
You got to know that. There ain't nothing wrong with you.
You know?
And
because I had that belief, I walk with a little swag. Walk with a little swag. Don't get mad at me because I'm smiling when everybody else seems to be upset. I know who I am, and I am that I am.
Yeah.
I accept the fact that I am that I am. And one day you will too. But until then, one day you'll wake up and be like, oh, that's why he was smiling the way he was smiling that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he got a little bop in his step.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This has been wonderful live once again. I love the shift. 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 So, the live will be uploaded to YouTube for those of you that want to, catch the live. Remember to like, share, subscribe, the live, share with your loved ones, those who you think, need to hear that this is the truth, that when you put your mind to something, it does create the reality in your world. You just have to make the decision to think differently. That's really it. You just have to make the decision to decide to think differently. Yes, is there work involved? Yes, but the work becomes effortless once you make a decision. You don't want to be going against yourself or opposing yourself or struggling with yourself. You want to make this journey light and easy. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Light and easy. It's the way of the transgressor is hard. When you transgress against the law, which means to go against your own nature, and your nature is abundant. Your nature is life. Your nature is joy. Your nature is love. When you go against that nature, that's when your life is hard. That's transgressing the law. When you're transgressing against the law of your own being, then your way is hard. So learn to get in alignment with the truth of your being, which is love, peace, joy, wealth, health, and success.
And if I could say one last thing,
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I would say to people, say, you're talking to me about your dreams, but where's the book that on your calendar? And do you give your dreams 5 minutes a day? And in 5 minutes a day, well, naturally, I want you guys to hit this, turn it to 10, and then it turn into 15, and it turn into a few hours, and then you be like, wow, how did I get here? 5 minutes a day is how you got here. Nobody asked you to stress it. Just spend time with it for 5 minutes a day.
Thank you so much, D Rich. Thank you. Voice bells and whatchamacallit, all those in the chat. Thank you for sharing tonight. It has been awesome. And anytime you want to come up, D Rich, you're always welcome. Always welcome. Thank you guys so much for your time, for your energy. Know that everything you desire already belongs to you. Just have the courage to accept it. It does take courage for you to Forgive the current state to embody the new. That's what forgiveness is. Letting go of the current you to see yourself as the version you desire to be.
Come on, to give,
Courage.
to forgive is to forget.
Yes. Yep.
All right,
To
I'm
give
out, y'all.
forth that which you would like to receive.
Y'all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Enjoy the
love
rest
what
of
you
your
do.
night.
Y'all run those likes up for T. Go watch that YouTube so y'all can see the 1 million likes up in there.
I know, right?
All right now.
All right. Good night, all. Bye-bye.